We're recording. I'd like to call the Plaquemines Parish Council meeting for October 10th, 2024 to order at 2 p.m. Machines are open for roll call.
Councilmember Edwards.
All 9 council members are present. At this time, we'll stand for the prayer and pledge by Brian. You got Councilmember Champagne. At this time, Father, we take this moment to acknowledge Almighty God and thank Him for our bountiful blessings, especially for the parish's natural resources. We give thanks to God for our brave and courageous men and women in our military who daily risk their lives to protect our precious freedom. We pray for our world leaders to know how to obtain world peace. We pray that this government body, comprised of both council and administration, will always serve our parish with honesty, humility, and equality to all. And as this government body gathers here today, we pray for the wisdom to know right from wrong and the courage to do that which is right. At this time, Father, we ask you to be with Florida as they are going through the hurricane. We ask you to be with the first responders, the military, help them do everything they can, Father. We also want to give thanks to you, Almighty God, for the PPSO deputy that was injured Tuesday, that he returned home safely yesterday and everything's okay. Father, we just ask all this in your son's name. Amen.
Amen. Please face the flag. Pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We are different. We are withdrawing the executive session. Wait, what? Yeah, withdraw or defer? Yeah, withdraw. All right. We're going to withdraw the executive session. Next item, please.
3 proclamations, a proclamation honoring the United Way of Southeast Louisiana on the 100th anniversary and service to our community in the parish of Plaquemines. United Way of Southeast Louisiana was established in 1924 with a mission to eradicate poverty in Plaquemines Parish. Whereas for a century, United Way of Southeast Louisiana has been at the forefront of addressing critical issues, creating opportunities, and fostering positive change in our community. Whereas the organization has built lasting partnerships with donors, advocates, volunteers, corporate partners, government officials, and nonprofits, contributing to the well-being of individuals and families in need. Whereas the organization's internal initiatives, including financial programs, VITA, and disaster response and recovery, have positively impacted our community by empowering individuals, addressing issues, and providing crucial support during time of crisis. Whereas United Way of Southeast Louisiana continues to play a vital role in building a stronger and more resilient community, exemplifying the spirit of compassion, collaboration, and service. Whereas 2024 marks the centennial anniversary of the United Way of Southeast Louisiana as a milestone deserving of a celebration and recognition. That's it.
I offer ask for a unanimous second. Any objection? None noted. Does anybody from United Way would like to go ahead and state your name and address, please?
Good afternoon, Michael Williamson, Service President and CEO, United Way of Southeast Louisiana. Actually a North Shore resident, live in Mandeville, Louisiana, One Crystal Court. First of all, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the opportunity to be with you today to celebrate the centennial of United Way of Southeast Louisiana. I think it's especially poignant as we reflect on disasters over the past several weeks that affect our colleagues from Florida to North Carolina, and thinking back to the days of United Way's response to Hurricane Katrina right here in Plaquemines Parish, leading recovery and relief efforts in our efforts to try to make sure as many folks were able to recover as fast as possible. This is a special year for us. As a nonprofit organization dedicated to serving the region, to achieve 100 years is not only a milestone, but it excites us about the future we have together. We've been working diligently to solve problems in all the communities that we serve, and especially right here in Plaquemines Parish. And my main point to be here with you today, especially with my team, my colleagues from United Way of Southeast Louisiana, is to tell you thank you. We don't do this work alone. United Way is a concept that was born over 135 years ago, but 100 years ago here in Southeast Louisiana. In our very core, we're about people helping people. And thanks to your leadership and support over time, we've been able to show up here in the community and support families on a daily basis. I know we have our parish impact reports I think we've shared with you. We'd like for you to take a look to see the examples of the impact that we're creating right here in Plaquemines Parish. But my main point is to tell you not only thank you, but we're looking forward to the next 100 years. Although, admittedly, I won't be here to experience all of it. Maybe some will be lucky enough to, but our commitment is to do as much as we can to ensure that all families throughout Plaquemines Parish not only survive, but they thrive. We fight for households that are called ALICE. They're asset limited, income constrained, employed. Quite simply put, these are families in this parish, by every measure, are doing all the right things to support their families, but they're just short of meeting a survival budget. Our job as United Way, and with your support, is to ensure they have the tools and skills and resources to go from surviving to thriving, because we know when the rising tide lifts, when the tide rises, all boats rise. So thank you again for your ongoing support, for the chance to be here with you today, to join in this celebration. It's both an honor and privilege, not just to serve for you, but serve alongside of you. So thank you again for the opportunity to be here.
Thank you. Anybody else from the audience would like to speak on this? Anybody from the council? Again, thank you for everything y'all done over the years. I know, like you said, especially with hurricanes, we were supposed to have this last month, but we had our own hurricane that we had coming through, so we deferred it to this month and everything. Thank y'all for everything y'all do. At this time, we'll open the machines up for the vote, and then after, if y'all want to come up and take a picture. Passes 9-0. If y'all want to come up.
Thank you. Thank y'all. I'm gonna let my president, Michael.
Try to step up to some other people and get behind you.
Where's your mask?
No, I'm good, I'm good, I'm good. Can't see you, bro. Y'all stand up, please. Can't see you. I gotta get up here. Trying to make sure you can see.
That's okay. Oh, he's smiling. Yeah, we don't want to break the camera.
All right, 1, 2.
Thank y'all.
Thank you, too. Thank you. Thank y'all. Okay.
All right, next item.
3B, a proclamation declaring October 28, 2024 as Cub Scout Pack 301 and Girl Scout Troop 40067 Civic Responsibility Day in the parish of Plaquemines. The Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts are two extraordinary organizations with a rich history of giving back to the community. Whereas the Cub Scouts and Girl Scouts have displayed a proven dedication to the betterment of society for multiple generations. Whereas Cub Scout Pack 301 and Girl Scout Troop 40067 desire to adopt the Port Sulphur Civic Drive Fishing Pier as a designated, civic responsibility for their respective troops. Whereas Cub Scout Pack 301 and Girl Scout Troop 40067 desire to orchestrate a community cleanup of the area around the Port Sulphur Civic Drive Fishing Pier. Whereas Cub Scout Pack 301 and Girl Scout Troop 40067 desire to foster and encourage their youth to actively participate in a committed and constructive manner, with a focus on the common good and sustaining the environment in Plaquemines Parish. That's it.
Thank you. Ms. LaFrance. Offered by Ms. LaFrance. You want unanimous second?
Can we get a unanimous second?
Any objections? Seeing none, unanimous second. Y'all want to make a comment? I don't want to put y'all on the spot, but
Hello, Council. Dayton House, 234 Essex Street, Belchase, Louisiana. We are extremely humbled by this opportunity to be able to pass something down to our children, the residents here in Plaquemines Parish. So we think this is a really great thing, and we're really, really honored by your support in this.
Good afternoon. I'm Victoria Tamayo, 234 Essex as well. On behalf of our troop, we are extremely excited and honored to have an opportunity to really make a mark on the community here in Plaquemines. And our girls are ready to, experience different things in their community than just selling cookies.
We like
thank
those
you.
cookies. Mr. Newsom.
Yeah, that's what I was going to talk. I was looking forward to the cookies. Thank you. Thank you for your services.
I'm just thankful that I can get my son here and get out of the house on his day off. So he's giving me a look right now. But no, I know PAC 301 well. I went through PAC 301 when I was a kid, and then growing up in Belchase, and then obviously my son is his last year in 301. He goes to Boy Scouts next year. So, but we always try to do things around the community. I know we cleaned up different parks and stuff I know in your district and throughout the parish. So. I think this is good that y'all working on the fishing pier. So, any other comments from the audience? Oh yeah, he's embarrassed. He doesn't like me. Unlike me, he doesn't like me center attention. All right, at this time we'll vote, and if y'all come up after, we'll take a picture. Passes 9-0. Next. Oh wait.
Bring Owen with you.
Let's get our Girl Scouts in.
Go up there, stay in the front. You don't need to be right behind me.
Perfect.
Just all the kids.
Yep. 1, 2. You are welcome.
Might as well just stay down here.
You can sit in my chair.
Oh, I'm going to be in trouble tonight. Yeah. Putting him on the spot. All right, next item, please.
A proclamation declaring Thursday, October 10th, 2024, Davy and Deborah Naquin Day in the parish of Plaquemines. Whereas Davy Naquin was born December 8th, 1949 in New Orleans, and Deborah Naquin was born February 1st, 1952 in New Orleans. Whereas Davy was a lifelong resident of Belchase and attended OLPH School, Belchase Middle School, and graduated from River Oaks Academy. Davy became an X-ray technician, whereas Deborah was raised in Old Gretna and attended St. Anthony School, graduated from Archbishop Blank High School, and attended business school. Whereas Davy and Deborah have 2 children, 8 grandchildren, and 2 great-grandchildren. Whereas the Naquin family opened Naquin's Catering and Restaurant successfully from 1976 to 1996. Whereas Davy and Deborah both drove school buses for Plaquemines School Board and worked at OLPH School. Whereas Davy was elected in 1996 to Justice of the Peace in Ward 6, serving Plaquemines Parish community for 28 years. Whereas Deborah was elected in 2002 to Constable in Ward 6, serving Plaquemines Parish community for 22 years. Whereas Davy and Deborah have been active in the following community organizations: Belchase, JC's and Jane's, OLPH Fair, Knights of Columbus and Auxiliary, Justice of the Peace and Constables Association Medal of Honor Park Committee, Plaquemine Citizen Police Academy, Citizens Police Academy Association, Neighborhood Watch Program, and members of Republican Women of Louisiana.
I offer ask for a unanimous second. Any objections? Seeing none. I'm going to speak first on this one. I think we all have stories from Davey and Miss Debbie, but I'm going to show my age here a little bit. But I remember riding on the bus for under Mr. Davey. I don't remember riding the bus on for you, Miss Debbie, but I do remember Mr. Davey. I think we all have stories. They're always out there doing whatever they can for the community. Well-earned retirement. I know that y'all will be missed in y'all's roles, and but I know y'all still be around doing whatever y'all can. I thank y'all for everything. Again, always out in the community doing whatever y'all can. I see y'all at the sheriff's SALT program every time, doing whatever y'all can. So again, thank y'all. Any other comments from audience, commissioners? Dr. Gui.
Yeah, Dave and Deb, I've been at this a long time. I think that we all reach a point where we know that our time of service needs to move on. And I know how you feel at this point, but I do want to thank you. I know anytime I had a question or needed some advice on something out of your office, that you were always willing to give me a good, unbiased analysis of what my problem was and what direction I take. And I know you did that with everyone. Kind of wish your mom and dad were here. Yeah. Is that appropriate or what? Yeah. That was not planned. Anyway, I think it's a great day for you guys, and move on and enjoy what's left, I guess, huh? I yield.
Please silence all cell phones.
Yes.
Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As well as Doc Gui said, the Naquin family's been around Belle Chase, geez, longer than me, and they don't know my age. So I remember the restaurant days out there when, eating them po' boy sandwiches. I'll tell you what, when y'all closed, it was probably one of the sad days in Belle Chase, because a lot of those days when I was attending Belle Chase High School, we would ease on through the fence and go get us some Naquin sandwiches and stuff. So again, thank you for everything you've done, and you're going to be missed. Thank you. As you.
Mr. LaFrance.
Yes, I wish we could have personally met on better circumstances. The Naquins there allowed me a place to lay my head during the evacuation for Hurricane Ida. And through that time, I got to know them a little bit. But again, thank you for everything what you did for your community, your district, and the people of Plaquemine Parish. Thank you.
Ms. McCarty.
I would be amiss as councilperson for District 5 if I didn't mention your great contribution to the Medal of Honor Park. And I know that you worked on that with my father and other things. And so I want to thank you for all of your civil service that you have brought to this parish. And I'm sure you'll continue to chime in. I hope you do, at least. Thank you.
And I'm also going to add, I do miss, because y'all been retired since August, but every time I go into the administration building, I always stop and talk to y'all for a couple minutes. I have missed those talks every time I come over there. So no offense, Mr. President, but I do like to go and talk to them when I'm over there. So again, you will be missed. We thank you for everything. Anybody else has any comment you want?
Yeah.
Mr. President, go ahead.
First, I'd like to say I wish I was old enough to have been a rider on the bus, but I missed that. But I look at some of the organizations that you guys have worked with and have served with, and I'm proud to say that I was there with you a lot of times in the back cooking the fish and just being there together. And Sharon and I really have enjoyed our friendship with you guys, and you really are going to be missed in the community, because the Naquin name is synonymous with Belle Chase, without a doubt there. So thank you again.
Go ahead.
I was coming up, Mr. Chairman, but you went straight to the administration. You fast, and I'm slow. I'd just like to say to Mr. Naquin and Mrs. Naquin that they're not just known on the West Bank; they're known on the East Bank. Many times, my wife and I, Cynthia Brooks, they know her very well. She drove the school bus and also, so she knew Mr. Naquin. I've been hearing that name, Mr. Naquin, for a long time, and I finally saw him say, "Well, he add up to everything my wife been saying about it." But he gave us a lot of advice in rental properties and stuff like that, how to do things. So I thank you for that. And we went to the convention last summer, and Mr. Naquin and Mr. Naquin helped us out. My wife is the constable over there on the East Bank, so they helped us out and did a real good job to take care of us out there. And I run across them once in a while in Belchase, and they're real nice to us. So I thank them for all that they have done to us. They never reached all the way to the East Bank, so that's a good thing. All right.
Thank you. Any other comments from audience, council? Yes, sir.
Yes, I just want to thank Dave and Debbie for all of the advice and the help they have given me. And Dave was always the first person I would call when I had a question with regards to something that I needed advice regarding, my ward, Ward 7. And he was always very helpful to me. And I really appreciate both Dave and Debbie. Thank you.
Any other comments? Seeing none, machines are open. Passes 9-0. If y'all would come up, take a picture, please.
Nope, I'll stay.
I'm saying it so this fella can get in front. Y'all know
I'll stand over you.
if you don't know. Yeah, y'all moving so. Yeah.
That's true.
Yeah, I know. When I knew I was ready, I was ready. Appreciate you. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, wait till they get it.
You let me make my turn around. I'll shake everybody's hand. I'm gonna shake yours twice. All right.
Y'all look up. Ready?
Cheese.
And I do remember riding the bus.
Congratulations, guys. Thank everybody.
I was always scared. Uphill both ways.
And barefoot.
Thank you, Ken. I appreciate it.
Before we begin,
Hold on.
I'd just like to tell Mr.
Wait, your mic. I can't get to the mic.
I'll speak loud.
Okay.
Mr. Jersey, I have not had a mosquito bite since I got here today. And I can't figure what it is.
Well, I think we all know why. And I want everyone to take these home and hang them on the porch, because what it'll do if you decoy all the other bats out there, it'll attract bats to your house, and it'll solve the mosquito problem. I don't want the old bats coming.
I'll let you know, I had a phone call from someone in the mosquito department
Right.
saying that's a great idea.
Yeah, because that's less work. All right. Back on subject. Next item, please.
For administration updates.
I'm glad we got the mosquito control under control. It's like, no, just in the last couple of weeks, we had the opportunity to go up towards Tangipahoa yesterday. A group of us, Rennie and Miss DeMarco and Miss Buck and Miss Carter here, to discuss with the TIF, with some of the TIF opportunities that they've done and the results that they've had. So that gives us a better understanding and the direction that we want to go in with that. And so in the next couple of weeks, in the next council meeting, we'll start that process. We'll start introducing some of the procedures that need to be done. And we're also, it's talking about the Peters Road, Walker Road Bridge. We're in good communications with the port. I think we have a direction that we want to go in, and we're in a lot of conversations as a group, as a whole, and we still have those communications going on with the city of Gretna and also Jefferson Parish. Yesterday, we also met with the Corps and some of the items that we talked about with the saltwater intrusion that we're still going through right now. The Lower Mississippi River Management Plan, Point Celeste Pump Station. We were given somewhat of a direction in where we can get the funding for that, and we'll be talking with Congressman Scalise and our delegation, and also the collaboration, what we need, what we can do in the future with the Corps as far as, we know what some of the problems are is the river and the crevasses, and these openings, we're losing a whole lot of our water flow through those. At RPC, the roundabout came up. That's going to be happening in the future, but it won't happen until after the bridge right here in Belle Chase is completed, because we don't want to have multiple construction projects on our entrance and exit in and out of the parish. And I want to thank all who participated this past Tuesday night for the Night Out Against Crime. There was, I was only able to make a couple, 2 or 3, but there were events from Boothville, Venice, all the way up into the Belle Chase area. So again, I want to thank all who participated in that. Ms. Taylor.
Good afternoon. As we all know, finance is currently in budget preparation process, so if they're hard to reach, just leave a message, they'll get back to you. On the HR front, we are currently getting ready for insurance renewals. We have received some quotes from the carriers, so they are currently reviewing all of those. And once we review them, we'll get with employees, the committee, the insurance committee, and have some discussion about the insurance renewals. Community Action Agency is getting ready for their food distribution for the month of October. My assistant will send you all an email where those distributions will take place at. That food distribution will be held the week of October 22nd through the 25th.
Good afternoon. Thank you. The health department has some flu shot clinics for the public scheduled. They started this week, but they do have some other dates scheduled for next week at 3 different locations in the parish. That schedule is posted on the parish website and on the parish Facebook page. If anyone is interested in getting their flu shot this year. Permits for notices were sent out maybe 2 weeks ago to 4 non-compliant RV parks. 2 of those parks have responded by removing all non-permitted trailers. 1 park was non-responsive and the power has been shut off earlier this week. And 1 park is providing documents that's under review. More letters are being prepared and they'll be sent out next week. So we are seeing some positive movement on the non-compliant parks. Excuse me. Engineering is, they're completing the Bell Chase concrete package. That bid should be going out next week. Councilman LaFrance, the damages to Audubon Road from Hurricane Barry, those, I'm being told, should be scheduled to be finished by the end of the year. The switchgear, the electrical switchgear for Portsmouth Water Plant, has been delivered. A water line had to be moved to accommodate the platform for the switchgear. That platform is prefabricated. Installation should begin anytime. We had a meeting, update meeting for that electrical project at Port Sulphur yesterday, and it's still scheduled to be completed by the end of December. And we are pushing the contractors extremely hard to make that happen. The mosquito control spray schedule is on the new PPG Go app. And since we got some more chemicals in, regular spray schedule has resumed. Last year, we were rewarded some monies by the Louisiana Public Service Commission for energy efficiency projects. 2 were completed, one at the courthouse and one at one of the fields over here at Cypress Park. The third project was at the Port Sulphur YMCA to update some controls, HVAC controls, lighting controls. They ran into some funding issues, but those were worked out. That agreement has been signed this week, and that project should be getting started in the next couple of weeks. We'll have a pre-con meeting in the next week or so, and they'll be completing that project. It's completely 100% funded by Public Service Commission. That's an ongoing funding stream, so we'll look at some other projects in the parish, other areas where we're in need of some upgrades as far as energy efficiency in our buildings. And again, any issues, please don't hesitate to contact. I'm sorry. Water's back on the complex.
All right, thank you. Good afternoon. Arts, Parks, and Recreation report. The department held its first tackle football volunteer coaches clinic in partnership with Chevron on this Monday, October 7th at the Bell Chase Auditorium. The coaches clinic provided our volunteer coaches with concussion awareness training, light refreshments, and a special presentation on hydration by Chevron. There was a total of 15 coaches and staff present at the training, and we're always looking for volunteer coaches, so please contact the recreation office if interested. Tackle football season begins Tuesday, October 15th, with games taking place at Cypress Park. The master schedule for the season will be posted on the parish website under Arts, Parks, and Recreation. Registration for Biddy basketball is now open. Parents may visit the parish website or our Recreation Facebook page for registration details and more information. Our girls volleyball season will end with championship games next Saturday, October 19th. The fitness center at Percy Griffin Community Center is now open. Operating hours are Tuesday through Thursdays from 3 to 7 p.m. and Saturdays from 8 to 11 a.m. The department has started park assessments, which will be sharing the reports with council members as early as tomorrow. So those park assessments are just going through all of our parks, giving a really good detailed report on what's there, what the conditions are, and our notes on how we're going to address and move forward at each site. Also, we currently have construction, pre-construction, repair, or updates at 6 parks across the parish. Those sites include Braithway, Diamond Park, Ironton, Lake Park Trails, Roger Halfin, and Leroy Harvey. So that's just a overall update on where we are doing work. And that concludes my report.
Thank you. Yes. Go ahead. Go ahead.
You can hear me? I know you prayed about it, the hurricanes, and sending our thoughts and prayers to the families, but to do something on a physical level as well, we have collaborated with the Second Harvest Food Bank, and we'll be having drop-off locations from tomorrow through the 18th. We'll be looking for non-perishable foods, toiletries, diapers, wipes, formulas, paper towels, bleach, those type of things. We'll have one drop-off at Bethlehem Baptist Church in Braithwaite. We'll have one at the Buras Library. We'll have one at the Port Sulphur Government Complex, and we'll have one at the Belle Chase Government Complex. If you all believe that we could benefit from having another location, please, let us know. But those were the areas that we had thought of would be great points. So that's going to be from the 11th through the 18th.
Thank you. Any comments from the audience? See, I see you this time.
Clarence Brock, 156 Enos Camelland. I heard the president just now mention they got some pumping station, trying to get some extra money to go to the pumping station by Point Celeste. And I know the parish council also said they got $1.4 million for pumping stations and for the event and for District 1 area. Those pumping stations for Point Celeste, and I think another one's supposed to be coming. That's just state funds. Can we get money also for our pumping stations?
I know. Go ahead.
The reason we're able to get these federal funds, or possibly use these federal funds for the Point Celeste pump station, is part of the HISTRA system. It's part of the NOV projects on that side of the river. So that's why this is sort of a special project that we're trying to get funding for through Congress.
Okay. All right.
All right. Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Ms. Skotnovich.
I forgot to let y'all know this morning, Orange Festival, a couple people contacted me. They want to have a cleanup. Been talking in the mic. They want to have a Fort Jackson cleanup day on October 26th, starting at 9 o'clock. I'll talk to Billy whenever he gets home, see if he could have maybe 2 of the tractors around so we cut the field, and I'm going to get with the sheriff and see about some labor and the lawnmowers to help cut. But anybody who wants to come, I ain't going to guarantee you it's good, but they'll have hot dogs and chili. Thank you.
Well, we'll put the word out. I will get Sean to take care of that.
Thank you.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, Mr. President, I've received a lot of calls, and I tried to explain to the public.
Ms. Edwards, can you speak into your mic?
Thank you. Tried to get the public to understand the Venture Global. It looks like the way it's written that we received, the council received $270 million totally, and I know that's not the case. So could you just tell people, how that process really worked?
I believe it was $260 million, and that's over a 3-year period, okay? And that's broken down to where the school system gets they get 2.5% of that. The government gets 1% of that, and fire gets 1%. That equates to $144 million for the school board, and it's $57 million for the fire and $57 million for the government. And these monies are supposed to, we're supposed to be able to manage and budget these funds for 10 years until the ITEP goes away, and then we start drawing our ad valorem from that project. So the 260 that they said, that's my understanding, said the government got, it's broken down between 3 entities.
Thank you so much.
You done?
Yes.
Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of questions, Jeff. Your office put out today a mosquito spray and thing. I want to thank you for that, your office. I've posted it, forwarded on my Facebook, so when people come around and ask, when's the truck coming, we can, and I think you sent that to all the council members, so we can now actually, hey, it's going to be in this area on Monday. And again, as you said, it's all weather permitting, of course, rain, if it's windy, we gotta take that. But again, I want to thank your office for doing that. Also, I guess, did GSI survey for all of the ditches and stuff we're talking about that were parish ditches or not ditches? Have we, could we have a percentage of completion on that? I know it's a large project. We got a lot of ditches in this parish, but.
I can get with Robert on that.
Yeah, just shoot me an email.
He's been tugged and pulled
I
in all
understand. He's
multiple
one person.
directions, yeah.
Robert's, he's one person.
We're working on getting him behind his desk and working on that and getting out in the field and focusing on GIS, but we'll get that answer for
If
you.
it's a problem, you can start in District 6 first. Also, one other, Mr. President, is I know we spoke the master plan. Are we getting close to completing the master plan for the complex?
I'm on Jens with All South pretty much every day. He said there was a software hiccup in his part, so they had to go get additional software for it. They had to learn it. I'm told probably within the next 2 weeks, but I will keep you informed. Like Mr. Champagne and I, we meet weekly on a Thursday morning, so we pretty well keep that. Yeah, right.
Thank you.
Okay.
Mr. Jursich.
Yes, a couple things. Night Out Against Crime. I attended the one at the Port Sulphur Y. Mr. Sammy and Miss Brenda Himes did a heck of a job. I think that was the biggest crowd they've had yet. And the food was absolutely amazing. So thanks to the Greater Macedonia Baptist Church and all for helping out with all that. It was really, really great to see so many people come together and really have a good time. For you, Mr. DeMarco, I found out earlier today that Port Sulphur, the contractor, has got Port Sulphur water plant shut down due to a busted water line. And I've just checked with Mr. Morgan. He said they're still working on that. So, you don't have any idea how long that's going to take. Because from Port Sulphur.
I do not, but I'm urging them to give me regular updates, and we'll update the public as it goes along.
Right, because the water's out from Port Sulphur to the Empire Bridge.
That's correct.
Because everything from Boothville can come all the way up to Empire.
That's correct.
And,
That's correct.
And there will be a boil water
Yes,
advisory
sir.
once it comes back on. But I'm
Yes, they will.
constantly monitoring it with Mr. Morgan as well. So
We'll put out as many updates as we can as the information comes along.
Mr. LaFrance.
Yes, Mitch had just talked about what I wanted to get some answers to. But however, I will let you know that it is from Diamond.
that's right.
Yeah. Okay, thank you.
From the water plant down to the Boothville, the Empire booster station.
Mr. Champagne.
Thank you. Mr. President, you alluded to the fact that we get together and meet, and I do appreciate you taking time out to meet with me every Thursday. We bring the port director and then have some really good conversations. But one of the things I think is one of the most important things we talk about is infrastructure and us working together to improve the infrastructure in this parish. And we're doing a very good job at it. And if you could, we're talking about water. If you could touch on some of the things that we are talking about, the improvements we're looking at doing, so people know that this is in the forefront of the thinking of both the port and your administration to improve our delivery of water throughout this parish. I yield. All right.
Well, we've got the master plan, the sewer and water master plan in process of being done right now, but because of the saltwater intrusion, we're having to come up with what we think will be conducive with the plan when it's completed. We could start in the Belle Chase area. One of the main things that we want to do is get that dual feed from Belle Chase to the Port Sulphur facility. And then there's different projects. There's a water line that's underneath the levee in Port Sulphur that needs to be moved. But at the end of the day, the plan is to having a dual feed from Belle Chase all the way to Boothville, Venice. Okay? And then we also want 2 lines going under the river, one up in the English Turn area, one down in the Point Lahash area. That's a project. That's 2 projects for that. And then we need to replace the line all the way from the parish line on the east bank all the way down to Bohemia. And then with the facilities over there, we'll have this circle feed in the water line. So we need to maintain our facilities in Dalcor and in East Point Lahash, but as far as having to increase the water production on that side of the river, we probably won't have to if we get the feed from the west bank to the east bank. Then when you come back to the west bank, there's a project that's going to be completed here towards the end of the year at the Belle Chase plant, which brings Belle Chase up to 9 million gallons. Once the priorities are for the Belle Chase facility, the projects now is the dual feed from Belle Chase to Port Sulphur, then come back to the Belle Chase facility and increase that from 9 to 15 million. Okay, so what we're figuring is that now if we have 15 million at that facility, we got 15, 18, about 21 million gallons of a day of water that we can produce. And then once all of those projects are completed, in the future, like you said this morning, we call it Naomi, but it's an area that's above the sill that has to be built every year. We'll talk about doing a 6 million gallon a day facility there. And that facility, we would probably need to put a reverse osmosis. So that's a lot of work, a very short explanation as to what we really need for our water system.
And thank you. I just wanted to make sure the public knew that all they hear is about the pipes breaking and the water plants. We know that, and I want them to know that that the administration, along with the port, is working to resolve this. It's not something we're taking for granted. It's a priority that I think everyone up here recognizes and wants to help the administration get there. And it's just taking time. But thank you for the brief.
All right, thank you, ma'am.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, Ms. Ashley, I'm sorry, I wanted to ask you, after the last hurricane, FEMA came down and did an extensive survey of the football field in Dave Van Park. And I just wanted some update. Do we know how can we get that football repair? I know it's something that you just got here, but I thought we have the FEMA money was in for that, or whether it was rejected or not. But I wonder what it take to get that repair. I know the Palm people went out and cut it just recently. There's some electrical stuff that's tied to the keyboard. I don't know if we have anybody local in the parish that can do the electrical work, but I think that was an exciting thing for people to have their football field up and running. So I hope you can really, look into that so we can get that football, because a lot of people was coming in and participating heavy. And I know Mr. Bartholomew had a lot to do with that field. It was up and running, and we'd like to see it up and running again.
Okay, that's noted, and I'll look into it and give you an update with what I find.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right. Next item, please.
5, bids and advertisements, there are none. 6, beer and liquor licenses, there are none. 7, building permits. 7A, construction permits. 7A1, Locks LLC, application number 2024-868, dated July 30th, 2024, proposes hydraulic dredging, pilings, and drilling barge to drill the Coquille Bay Prospects A1 Grand Bay, sections 20, 21, 28, and 29, T12S, R18E. Councilmember Edwards.
We'll take 2 in Globo.
Locks LLC, application number 2024-869, proposes hydraulic dredging, pilings, and drilling barge to drill the Coquille Bay Prospects A2 Grand Bay, sections 20, 21, 28, and 29, T19S, R18E. Councilmember Edwards.
Offered by Reverend Edwards. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience?
Yes, Clarence Brock, 156 East Camelland. I talked to Reverend Edwards, and he gave me an update on on how this procedure is done with the permits. That the parish is probably the last stage, the last step of signing this off to happen. But it still don't sound like it's real good to me because it's in our district. It starts way out there, but it's all ends right in Pernahash or Devon, maybe in Phoenix, and it's going under a lot of our property, and we don't hear anything about any kind of funds that are coming to us, and it could be changing our way of life. That's pipelines. So that's the only reason why I come up and trying to find out about these things. And it's a permit, and they get a permit so easy. But like Reverend Edward told me that the parish is the last stage. But I also want to know if one of these permits come in here that y'all don't agree on or don't, because y'all looking out for our welfare, that y'all don't think about it. Can y'all say no? We're not going to vote on it. We don't want vote no on it. Say no, we don't want it. Is that going to ever happen? Or if y'all see it?
Yes. Mr. Congress would like to answer. Go ahead.
Okay.
On all those, like these two pipelines, the parish still gets all royalties that goes to every district in the parish. That's what this covers. You know, you're saying they might have money. Do y'all get it? Well, we all get it.
Okay. So the parish fund, the money goes to the parish, and they use it for...
They fund everything in the parish.
All right, like mosquito control and all that good stuff?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct.
All right. Well, just keep your eye out on it, because I don't know all about this, but I'm curious. I want to know. Would it be any kind of problem for us in the future? Pipeline is just a pipeline for us. You could easily break and cause spillage and everything, but so as long as the parish, the council saying that they got full control of it and they know everything's going to be all right, it's all right with me.
Yes, sir.
Down and brought it, so you understand. I know Mr. Bartholomew, he's been dealing with way longer than me, and I hope you can meet Mr. Brox, because you have more experience than this, to help him understand this process, because for the 2 years I've been on here, this is a consistent thing. So I hope, Mr. Dollar, maybe, I brought some stuff out that you can help him understand this process. So I also suggest that you talk to Constable Bartholomew, because him, like Dr. Gu, have been dealing with this longer than Harry Tugman, so they can help you, understand better than I can.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Administration, table. Machines are open. Passes 8-0 with one abstention from Mr. Kokrovich. Next item, please.
B, Judy Daigle and Daniel Trosclair, Blue Dog RV Park, final approval, new 36-space permanent RV Park, Prody Drive and Blue Dog Lane, Belchase, Louisiana. Councilmember Newsom.
Offered by Mr. Newsom, second by Mr. Champagne. Any comments from the audience? Come up, state your name, address, please.
Rick Jackson, 126 Gondrella Drive. I think you guys are playing, games with the way this is worded, stating a new 36. There was only one 36, and that was in May of this year. They started working on that way over a year ago. There's currently at least 80 spots, poles, meters, everything in that trailer park, which is way over 36. In addition to that, they're building another spot right now, as we speak. The code of ordinance state that you don't even start the project till you have a conditional permit, period, 2121A. These guys are way outside, and you guys are just blessing them left and right. 5 minutes, make sure you're on. Nobody in the area received any notice that this was coming upon us. we got a little neighborhood back there, maybe, 30 houses. Now we're going to have 130 on that one little street. I believe there's supposed to be some notification given to a project of that size. When I was trying to find out about what was going on, and I'm straightforward. I copy everybody. You guys see all that. And telling me you don't know something when you do is lying. It's just, you just will tell me something otherwise, because and it seemed pretty easy for you guys. So I don't appreciate it. And I hate to see that that's the way we're doing business. Ronnie stated that he's just approving it to try to remain consistent. You guys might want to go back and look and see how consistent we've been on issuing these permits. We've not been consistent. I do agree with Mr. Reverend Edwards. He stated last meeting that, it does depend on who you are and who you know, and maybe a little bit more on this one as to whether you get approved or not. And that's all. I just want that, give you that, my 2.5 minutes worth. I know you guys have already decided on how you're going to vote, so, I don't think anything I say is going to change your minds. I'm not looking for any discussion. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Jackson. Any other comments from the audience?
I just got a question. Clarence Blocks, 156, Enos Campbell Land. Do this, I remember last council meeting, they said that the president made a Paris-wide ban on trailers and things like that. Do this affect this trailer park?
No,
Moratorium?
because the state of emergency was issued August 15th, and in there it said that it's for all ones that did not already receive conditional approval. This one received conditional approval April 20th of 2024. So it was before the state of emergency and already had conditional approval. So this one is not impacted by the state of emergency.
All right. The next question is, when Mr. David, this one, I'm for sure that Mr. David, right? Huh? No.
Mr. Jackson.
You, David. Remember, he put in for a permit in Belle Chase, and he couldn't get it, and I think that was way before this one came up.
Correct. That was a
different zone or something?
That was a different issue there. It was due to rezoning. This one's already zoned. This spot is already zoned mobile home. That's why it was per se a different issue and had to go zoning board and all that. We can talk to you about everything, but that's basically the difference between that one and this one.
All right, because I've been dealing with Miss Amitra, and I know if it get this far, Mr. Amitra done went through all the fine parts and it's legal. I know it's legal, but it just don't sound right because it sound like it's coming in after everybody been denied and this one get one. And I thought they said no more in Belle Chase, but it's still seem like they put them in Belle Chase. That's why some of the people are just not happy about it, because it sounds like you say one thing, but it's zones and a whole lot of stuff. Time you did it and time you didn't do it, so evidently it got permits a long time ago, and it just took a while to do it.
Correct. April of 24. Sorry, not May. April of 24 is when he received conditional approval, which allowed him to go and start the infrastructure improvements out of his own pocket to start making it.
Okay.
And this is just final approval, basically saying all the plans you submitted, you followed them, you did exactly what you originally showed us you were going to do, all that. So this is a final approval for that, saying that now you can open your RV park.
All right, thank you. It makes a little sense. Thanks.
Yes, sir.
Hi, David Clark, 108 Avenue A in Bell Chase. What Mr. Brock said and Rick said is true. It's confusing to us. I've heard council members say we were against permanent MH changes at this time, but yet last council meeting we did it. I heard you guys mentioned, like Mr. Brock said, no RVs above Bell Chase, but we did it multiple times since I've tried. I still don't agree with the zoning board's issues there, but that's a different issue here. I'm not against this trailer park here. He's put in his homework and did it, but you guys are, and it seems to us that we are picking and choosing. We're picking the areas. We're spot zoning. We're doing whatever we had a councilman outside of his district last meeting support somebody going over another councilman's area supporting that MH zoning change, and we approved it. So it's confusing for us that want to do this as to what are you guys trying to do, because you're not consistent in your decisions. Zoning board's not consistent in their decisions, and it's just confusing as heck. So I appreciate it. Thanks.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this, as Mr. Jack said, this is in my district. I also live on Gondrella Drive, right up the street from Mr. Jackson. This Blue Dog RV does have a couple pieces of property back there zoned. So what we are up to vote on today is the I guess you would say the back piece that has 36 spots, and if they have 37 spots, Mr. DeMarco is going to be out there putting notices on things. So it's 36 spots, and that means 36 spots. It doesn't mean 37, doesn't mean 40. So that will be followed. Again, we all spoke on this. April 25th, this body unanimously approved the conditional permit. The permit was applied for back in May 2nd of 2023. So the process has been a long process for Blue Dog RV. As what Mr. Clark had said about zoning, I have been consistent in what I do. I'm not going to say I fully 100% support the zoning board. Each member up here puts a member on the zoning board. We have 2 at-large members on there. So we have a body in place that takes care of zoning. Some things are zoned the way people like it, and some people, it didn't happen. As Mr. Clark has stated, it didn't happen for him. But that's the process. So with those things, I think I know we got a couple more folks in the queue about it, but that's some stuff we'll get straight, and that's all I have to say. Thank you, and I yield.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah. Again, I don't know Blue Dog, but I know I've taken a position I will vote no, because again, when I go back to stuff that happened to Mr. Clark, I serve on the zoning board, and I remember being the only person voted against something, and the zoning board voted against me. And I remember this council came and voted like me. So there's some history of this council. We sort of serve like the Supreme Court. When the thing goes to a court system, come to us, then we can make our decision based on equity or mercy. And I think it was unmerciful what happened to Mr. Clark. It almost came down to, a family saying we don't want him in. Seeming like that's what I got from it. And I think it was wrong. And so because of that position that I made my mind up, I will vote no. Because I just think, and when Mr. Bartholomew is back there, I was on the zone. Not one time I was on the zoning board, Mr. Bartholomew, Beshu, or Councilman Griffin ever influenced me. I asked me to do anything. They relied that on me. I just think that as council members, even though we're saying the zoning board is there, we need to come back and say, well, we don't think you're being fair and merciful. You're doing a fair thing on cases. That's our job. Regardless of what family members don't like, and I still take the position, and so I've already made my mind. I will vote no. So you're right in a way when you're saying we made my mind. I made my mind up a long time ago that any RV come up, I'm voting no for it, just because I thought the Clark thing was totally wrong, and I can in good conscience continue to vote for anything from this point on.
Mr. Cognovich.
Yes, just like Mr. Newsom said, it passed unanimous. I know I've abstained, and I don't think Mr. Edwards voted for it, so it did pass, though. Huh? Well, I know I abstained, so.
Mr. Newsom.
Just a correction, Mr. Edwards, when it came before the council, it passed unanimously, including you. But you voted yes for the conditional permit. So on April 25th of 2025 is when it came before the council. It was a unanimous vote. Myself and Councilmember LaFrance were absent, and Mr. Cognovich abstained, and the rest, everybody voted for it. So that's just for the record. Thank you.
All right, no more comment. Machines are open. Passes 6 yeas, 1 no from Mr. Edwards, 2 abstentions from Mr. LaFrance and Mr. Cognovich.
Eight, introduction of ordinances and resolutions.
The following 5 ordinances are being introduced by Councilmember Schultz. An ordinance authorizing the acceptance of a donation of a true classic children's train from the Plaquemines Parish East Point and Lajas Fire Department and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare and file an application with the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish government for a grant under 49 CFR 5311 formula grant for rural areas and/or 49 CFR 5339 grants for bus and bus facility program as amended to provide public rural transportation to the residents of Plaquemines Parish, and further authorizing the parish president to execute and file with such application and assurance of any other documents required and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing the Plaquemines Parish Community Action Agency to prepare the necessary application to Louisiana Housing Corporation for a grant to provide utility assistance to the residents of Plaquemines Parish for the fiscal year of 2025, and authorizing the president of the Plaquemines Parish government to sign and submit said application and contract and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution authorizing Plaquemines Parish Community Action to prepare the necessary application to the Louisiana Workforce Commission receiving the Community Service Block Grant Funds for program year 2025, and authorizing the president of the parish for Plaquemines Parish government to sign and submit an application and contract and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. A resolution establishing the dates, time, and places of public hearings on the proposed 2025 operating budget, on the proposed capital improvements budget covering a period of at least 5 years as submitted by the parish president, to authorize the council secretary to place the necessary public notice in the Plaquemines Gazette pursuant to Section 7.02A and Section 7.05C of the Charter for Local Self-Government, Plaquemines Parish, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This one is for Councilmember Champagne. A resolution authorizing the parish president on behalf of the Plaquemines Parish Council to certify the Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development that the Plaquemines Parish government has complied with all FHWA DOTD requirements in 2024 relative to bridges located in Plaquemines Parish under the Plaquemines Parish government's jurisdiction and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. This legislation is for Councilmember Gui, an ordinance enacting Chapter 24 of the Parish Code of Ordinances entitled Administrative Adjudication, providing for the procedures and enforcement of applicable codes regulating premises and structures for the protection, health, welfare, and safety of the people of Plaquemines Parish and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next three are for Councilmember LaFrance. An ordinance authorizing an act of sale by the Parish of Plaquemines to sell certain adjudicated properties, parcels 1035700, by public auction and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance supporting the adoption of the Port Sulphur Civic Drive Fishing Pier by Cub Scout Pack 301 and Girl Scout Troop 40067, making it a dedicated civic responsibility of both troops and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance creating Operation Clean Sweep, which authorizes and directs the parish president or his designee to clean and maintain all ditches throughout the parish of Plaquemines and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next five are for Councilmember Jurisic. A resolution clarifying and establishing the terms, vacancies, and existing membership of the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission, appointing new members to the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission, authorizing the parish president to enter into or amend a cooperative endeavor agreement with the Plaquemines Parish Tourist Commission, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2024 General Fund Operating Expenditure Budget, Coastal Resources and Protection Department, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 2024 Operating Expenditure Budget and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and readopt Ordinance 2264 to provide for no longer requiring applicants to obtain final approval from the council in order to be granted a temporary RV permit and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend and reenact Section F of Sections 21-115 of Chapter 21 of Article 5, requirements for trailer parks approved after March 28, 1996, and paragraph F of Section 21-136 of Chapter 21 of Article 6, recreational vehicles, parks, and campgrounds approved after July 11, 1996, of the Plaquemines Parish Code of Ordinances, to remove final approval by the council for trailer and permanent and temporary RV parks following a satisfactory inspection by the Director of Operations, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. The next three are for Councilmember Konovich. An ordinance to amend and as amended readopt ordinance number 24-133 and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. An ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, new construction, Boothville Venice Community Center project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And finally, an ordinance authorizing the acceptance of the donation to the Plaquemines Parish government of that property identified as parcel number 1028400 by the Plaquemines Parish Assessor located next to the Buras Auditorium in Buras, Louisiana, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. And that's it.
Thank you. All right, 9A1 will be deferred. 9H will be withdrawn. Do we have any other deferrals or withdrawals that I'm not aware about? 9A1 and 9H. Wait, 9A1 will be deferred, 9H will be withdrawn. Any other ones that I am not aware about? 9B will be deferred. B as in boy, correct, Mr. LaFrance? Yes. Yes. So 9A1 deferred, 9B as in boy will be deferred, and 9H will be withdrawn. Any other ones? All good. All right, next item, please.
9, ordinances and resolutions on second reading and final passage. 9A, ordinances and public hearings pursuant to Article 6, Section 601E of the Plaquemines Parish Charter. 9A1, deferred. 9A2, an ordinance to propose an amendment to the Plaquemines Parish Charter for local self-government to establish a commission as the governing authority of the Plaquemines Port Harbor and Terminal District in lieu of the Plaquemines Parish Council, to call a special election to submit the proposed amendment to voters and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Gouy.
Offered by Mr. Gouy, Dr. Gouy. Do I have a second? Second by Mr. Champagne. All right, hold on one second. All right, you're on. He's on.
This legislation is to call a special election for a home rule charter amendment on March 29th, 2025, amending the governing authority of the port from the parish council to a port commission appointed by the parish council. The key points are a change from the Port Commission of 9 elected members to 7 appointed members who specifically have experience in port-related matters. There will be nominations for 5 positions presented by the council, and the emphasis here should be that the council's 5 nominations have a good understanding of the port's impact on our residents, district by district. And it's incumbent upon the council, when they make their nominations and their subsequent appointments, that these people do have a good understanding of the impacts to our residents. There'll be one appointment that the council will make that will come from nominations presented by the parish president. The purpose here is for the parish president to make a recommendation of a person who has a good understanding of the infrastructure needs of the parish. And the council, of course, in making that appointment, would have a check and balance to concur that his nominations do, in fact, have those talents and understandings. And then one nomination will be selected by the council coming from the governor's office. That nomination should be an individual who not only understands the port, its residents and the constituents, the infrastructure, but also the relationship with the state and how important it is to have a good relationship with the state in future port development. The parish council will be the sole appointing body, not the governor, not the parish president, the parish council. In addition to the port experience that the individual appointments need to have, they must live in Plaquemines Parish, or they must work for a business located in Plaquemines Parish. If any of those requirements are not met, that individual will be removed from the Port Commission. Our parish has been under a home rule charter since the 1960s, and that's before the 1973 Constitutional Convention that created the home rule charter specifics. Our charter reflects the will of the people. It allows the people of this parish to determine its own destiny. We get kind of accustomed to the benefits of having a home rule charter, and we take it for granted. But it is a privilege, and it allows us to manage our parish as we see fit. For this reason, the proposed change of parish government is being presented to the public as a home rule charter change to be voted on by the public. This vote will not take place for 5 months. Plenty of time for debates and cussing and discussing and making sure our constituents are informed of all of the specifics of the proposed changes. That vote will determine if future port business and growth will be under the governance of appointed individuals who must possess port knowledge, or, as it is today, by elected officials. Nothing else changes. No one's giving away the port. The port is still the port. It's governed by the same state and parish laws that we are governed by today. It remains the same public port. No privatization in any form or fashion. It does not turn the governance of the port to any other entity. Not a civic group, not a business group, not PABI, not any other group. Nor does it give any governance to the state, a state or regionally appointed board, or any other political entity. It will be solely governed by the board members that are appointed by the parish council. And those board members must operate under the same rules that we operate as regards to ethics and harassment and financial disclosures, the same rules that we as council members and port commissions have to live with. The special election will allow the public to voice their preference as to the port governance. And if approved, it will change the language of the parish charter with respect to governance of our port. Now, there's one caveat. Since the port is a political subdivision of the state statutes RS 341352 relative to port governance must be changed at the state level in order for the governance change to take effect. This change will have to be presented to the state legislature during the 2025 session as per the results of the special election. And it must be approved by 2/3 of both houses to become law. So that's the process. First, a charter change, a special election has to be called. Today, it'll either be a vote for yes to allow the people to make that charter change, or at least to vote on that charter change, or a no vote where the election won't take place. If it's approved by the voters, still has to go to the state legislature. And conversations have been had with the governor's office and some of his people, and Senator Connick and Representative Breaux. And they fully understand that if we do get to call a special election, and if it passes, that it's going to be up to them to walk it through the legislature. At this point, I'd like to yield, but Mr. Chair, I'd like the privilege of just closing out before the vote's taken.
Yes, we're going to allow public comment first and then normal procedures from here on out. Do I have any comments from the public?
From the understanding, Dr. Gouy did a good job explaining it to us, but it's a lot to take in at one time. I'm like Brother Elvis said, I don't get these things ahead of time to get a good kind of understanding of it. So all this coming at me at one time. What I hear right now is the port already have the director and all that over the port, or they're gonna go away, and it's gonna be three. The port that's coming, the crew that come out next after this meeting, that crew, then they're gonna have another crew as.
No, so instead of us sitting up, well, I mean, I say sitting up here at the port meeting, it will be this new commission. This council will not be no longer over the port directly. We will have the appointing authority of that commission, kind of like the zoning board. We appoint a member, I mean, a little bit set up different, but, and then they make decisions over zoning. I'm using that as an example, a loose example, but correct. So administration, firing, hiring will be determined by that commission, not us. It will still be the same administration. Everything from the port standpoint will stay the same. It's just who will be sitting per se in these chairs for the port.
All right. The second part is, you say you got to be somebody that live in the parish or work for somebody that live in the parish. All these people in the parish, I know we got small people in the parish, but are they qualified to sit on the board and make those decisions? That's going to be a question. You don't have to answer on that, but that's going to be a question. Could we easily put people in there that we know and would like to see get in there, and it'd be
True. It takes, I mean, ultimately, it would take 5 votes from this council to appoint them.
All right. And the last part is the state going to have their hands in it. They're going to make some major decisions. Our governors change, our senators don't. But those change and all those rules, they're going to say, we put a lot of money into that port, and we might get one of those governors or a senator and say, we want more money out of it, we want this and that, and we might lose all that control of the port.
Well, I'm going to add to something Dr. Gui said. He didn't go in. So 5 commissioners will be appointed by this council. Well, all will be appointed by this council. 5 will be chosen from a list by this council, 1 from the parish president, 1 from the governor. So the governor only is going to have 1 out of 7. So the thinking is still having a very local interest versus state board or like in other areas. It's from multiple areas.
If it stay in the parish, yeah, I like it, but I really don't trust the state because people changes.
I agree. I understand.
All right, thank you.
Yes, sir.
Got to go to the stand.
Hi, David Clark, 108 Avenue in Belle Chase. What is the purpose of wanting to make this change? In your words, if you can tell me, why would we make this change? How would it benefit the residents? Right now, we have the power to elect, and you're going to take that power away from us. So how is that going to benefit us as a resident?
Well, David, let me say this. We're not taking anyone's power away. We're putting it in the hands of the voters. And within the next 5 months to study this and make the voters decide on their own, would they like to have port commissioners who have port experience, that live in the parish, and that they're appointed by the sitting council, whoever it is. When you look at decisions that have been made and of which I've been a part of, we've had to go back and reverse those decisions. And I can tell you, when I voiced my support for some of those issues, it was because of the information I had available and the way I understood it. Subsequent to that, I realized that someone, well, again, it's hypothetical, but someone who had years of port experience, whether they worked for Chevron or they were in Spotehaven or even the old Gulf Alliance people that had experience for years and years working on ports, they may have seen it from a different light and may have asked some questions or asked for more information that I didn't have the experience to even think of asking those questions. I went on with the information I have, and it sounded good. And then I had egg on my face twice, 3 times, whereby it didn't work out. Had I 20 years of port experience, I think I would have viewed that from a different perspective. So the council, this council, will have to determine who are the people that they feel as a group would best represent this parish, represent our constituents, protect our constituents, and make decisions based on what is best for this parish, because they either live here or they work here. And remember, this group right here can levy a tax. This port right here can expropriate land.
We've done that.
Well, we've
yeah.
done that,
We've
right,
done that,
right.
yeah.
So the people who are sitting on this board will be sitting, they'll have skin in the game. So they'll have to face the same things we do in regards to those issues.
Well, we got a lot of stuff you put on the plate there I'd like to kind of address. One, we've made that decision 2 years ago who we wanted to represent us on the port. We've elected you guys council under the, you saying you're qualified to do that at the time. I remember that being a question about this situation. Another thing is, I still don't see the benefit. I'm sorry.
Answer that, David?
Yeah, go ahead. You just say a lot, and I get a little.
We did get elected, right?
Yes.
If this is approved and we have the election, the residents will have to decide, do they feel that us as elected with different backgrounds would better govern the port than individuals who were port people? And they would have to vote yes. If it gets on the ballot, they would vote yes, they prefer, or no, they don't.
But it seems like every time we want to pass something like this, that's going to change our charter, we do it on a kind of an off election, right? We've got a couple of JPs running in March. So you get 11% of the voters out there. We're having a presidential election that's going to draw at least 50, 55, 60% of the voters. It'd be a good time to present this. 11% of the voters is not going to make a decision for the parish. I can promise you that. They will make a decision, but it may not be in the benefit of what the residents really want. And I know it lies on the residents to get out there and vote, but still, throwing this out, I just don't know the reasoning behind it. I know what you're saying is we want to get the experience on the board, but if they can't live in the parish, I mean, we got people on our administration right now running our parish that doesn't live in the parish. So how is this board so important that we can't have somebody outside the parish to be on it? I just don't see the rules we're trying to put in place. We're making it for business people in the parish to operate this port. My experience, that hasn't always been on the positive side, having certain, making it a kind of a political thing that we're isolating who we're going to put on this board. So we just got to be careful on how we do this. To me, I don't see a benefit to the residents right now. I don't. Now, I don't know as much as you guys because you've privileged a lot of information I'm not. Hopefully, I can call Dr. Gui and discuss with you on what you're thinking. But again, there's a lot of stuff to throw on the plate. I wish it wouldn't be in March. It would have been in this election coming up. But I just don't see it, guys. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
Rick Jackson, 126 Controller Drive. Are these paid positions? Or who's not paid positions, so we have to worry about that?
No, not according to the charter.
Might be difficult to find somebody to take on that responsibility without.
Let me say this, that there are allowances for reimbursements and for mileage and for per diems that are part of the state regulations, and being that would be something where you would look at compensation. That could happen.
Yeah, I'm just saying, I didn't want to go from 9 to 16 paid administrators and commissioners, council, and additional taxes and more. So that's all I was asking.
I'm going to elaborate on the paid, Rick. So in the charter, section 3.09 spells out compensation of parish president. Section 4.07 spells out compensation for council members. This charter will create basically a new section, section 5, and nowhere in this language does it spell out any compensation for these commissioners. So you can't, the argument is made that you can't pay them because it's not spelled out in the charter. So that is basically the answer to your question, that they will not be paid. Any other comments from the audience? State your name and address.
Good afternoon, Benny Roussel, 1012 Epsilon Street. It's been a long time since I've been here. I promised myself I wouldn't come to these meetings. Today changes that situation over this one issue. It's amazing to me how we can talk about this board selecting the right people to put in the right places to make the right decisions for the public. The people made the decisions that they made to put you in those positions to represent the public. Now, I heard today that mistakes were made, bad decisions. I can't tell you how many times I sat up there, Doc, trying to get you to go the other way. And you went the other way, the wrong way. I think this is a further step in the wrong direction because of the fact that you can have the ultimate control over a $50 million operation without giving it to an appointed board that who knows if you're going to make the right decision. You admitted that you didn't make the right decision several times already. And if you put the wrong person on there, the people will suffer. The true balance here is the ballot box. They get to elect you. And if they decided they made a mistake, they can unelect you. If you make the mistake and put people on the board and it's a mistake, it's tough luck. The people won't be able to take them out. They will ride with this issue for many, many years. And I promised myself I wouldn't do this, and I'm going to sit down before I get cranked up, because you know I can do that. And Dr. Gouy, as many times as we talked about LA 23 and sustainability partners and knew it was the wrong decision, you went with it anyway. I'm asking you that this is not the right decision, and don't go with it, even though it might be your legacy to say that you did this at one time and you hired Sandy Sanders and you got LA 23 and all of those guys lined up. At the end of the day, what we are facing now is that LA 23 has a $1.4 million federal consent judgment against them. So what do you think those people are going to do next? They're going to look for y'all to make them whole. And you still lost all of the money that you let sustainability partners give to LA 23. So instead of giving this port away, what you should be doing is you should be filing legislation to sue LA 23 for all of the money that they beat you out of. And I said, I don't want to get cranked, but thank you for your time.
Sir, thank you. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Mr. Kognovich.
Yes, you know, Judge Perez wrote this charter, and he was a lot of things. When he wrote this charter, he was a very smart person. The state can't come in here and do things because of that homeroom charter. Now, I was at the restaurant in Buras last week, and Mr. Freeman came in, so me and him started talking. Said when his first year at council, they appointed a committee to look over the port, which you was part of. Somehow it got messed up. It wasn't a committee, it was a commission, and got to change all kind of things. Then y'all took the parish president out of the port, gave it to the council to run, hired a director, hired Sandy Sanders, who hired LA 23, who hired SP, who hired Triton, and where are we with all those decisions? And I know starting from Triton, it was a 5-4 vote that we didn't renew their contract. Then to hire LA 23, it was a 5-4. SP was 5-4, and like Mr. Roussel said, we could be sitting on the hook for a lot of money right now on that. Then to name a committee to run this, right now it's not paid. But once they change the charter and put those people in place, they could change it again and pay themselves. They still have the authority to tax the people. And, you know, it's one thing after another. You know, Dr. Gouy, we go way back, and I respect you as a person, but some of the decisions you made on this council in the last 4 years that I've been here wasn't the right ones. And, you know, I'm against it 100%, and I'll go down fighting against it. The people elected us to be the council and the commissioners, and I've heard that, oh, we don't have experience. I've been on a boat most of my life, so according to this thing, I got the experience to run a port. I know how to run a boat. I've heard dock hands could be on this board. I've heard river pilots. Well, dock hands could throw a rope. A river pilot is an overpaid charter captain. All he does is get on that boat, tell the captain where to steer. Something happens to that ship, it runs aground, it does anything. The pilot walks off with no responsibility. So the people elected us, we put this commission in place, and they do the wrong thing. The people can't go after them. We answer to the people. They won't answer to nobody. And I think it's just a way to give this certain group their wish of running the parish. And that's all I got to say.
Mr. LaFrance.
How do we get to this point? How do we get to this point? This move will not benefit the parish. It will not benefit our people that live in this parish. It will not benefit our children. This port is for our children, for the future of this parish. This parish was suffering. Oil and gas was gone. Our only answer is that river. It's the port. The problem is not the charter. The problem is whoever support this, that's sitting up here, they are the problem. When I got elected to this council, I had a trucking business. I stopped working. I hired my same assistant. I hired the same assistant that the previous council had. I spoke to many councilmen. I spoke to Sullivan Vulo. I spoke to Harold Becknell, Steve Vaughn, Burgard Turner, Audrey Salvon. I spoke to all these people. Anytime I had any issue, I seek their advice. Why are they worrying about our port? When the port wasn't making any money before, they wasn't worried about it. Now they're worrying about the port. Why? Isn't the people of this parish, ain't you tired and sick of being ripped off? Out all the money that came from oil and gas, you have nothing to show for it. If we would have been good steward of that money, you wouldn't have a 30-year toll on that Belle-Chasse Bridge. We could have paid for our own bridge. We took money from the people. The 3 mills. We took money from the people to buy this property, especially where Venture Global is sitting at. And what are you getting in return? Just from the lease of that property, we got $18 million. $18 million. And Benny Roussel, I'm going to let you know, you were very instrumental in getting that contract, getting that lease done. A lot of them ain't going to want to give you that benefit, but I'm letting you know. And people who sitting up here, who was on the board with you, they know also. The way the shape of this parish, the way it is, we depending on that port. just in sales tax from Venture Global, 260 million. By the end of the year, with a 70 more, that will be 330 million. That's a lot of money. And we're going to just take it and we're going to give it to certain people. Oh, we're going to nominate some people to put on the board. The people have spoken already. The people have voted already. So now we want to take the power from the people. They done spoke already. It's just like the courthouse. Oh, we're going to keep on voting and keep on voting until they get what they want. People have voted already. Ladies and gentlemen, I don't care how you dress it. You could take a hog and you could bring them inside. You could shave them, clean them, give them a bat, and put a three-piece suit on them. But when you take him outside and if he sees some slop, he gonna wobble in it. I don't care how they dress it. The people of this parish is not going to benefit from it. Isn't the good people of this parish, isn't you tired of being ripped off? The good people of this parish, ain't you tired? I'm tired for you. I'm sick and tired. You know, when you elected to this council, when you elected to this board, you knocked on people's doors and you said, I want to be your councilman. I want to represent you. I want to get up every morning. I want to fight for you. This is what you tell people. And within less than 2 years, I'm going to vote for this and say, I'm not qualified. Well, if you're not qualified to be a commissioner, you're not qualified to be a councilman, because there's no lawyer sitting up here. To be a councilman, you're a legislator. You're a legislator, you're a lawyer. You know law. Ain't nobody sitting up here there's only one lawyer I see in here.
Two.
Who?
Mr. Garrett's a lawyer.
Oh, I didn't see him back there. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm sure we got somebody out there in the audience.
But you're supposed to be a legislator. This parish, we had to go to federal court to name 2 minority districts. 2 minority districts. My district and Reverend Evans' district. In my district, we elected white people. In Reverend Evans' district, they elected white people in his district. I said I wasn't going to go there, but I need to go there. You putting a board together, I don't see no one that's named that's going to be black.
Oh, jeez.
We took this port, we developed the port, you put it in my district, now all of a sudden, now you want to change the rules. Now you want to change the rules. The people of this parish, y'all, especially people in Belle Chase, and anyone that traveled through Belle Chase, y'all dealing with traffic every day. Backed up. Well, how you benefit from it? You benefit from, now you see that the sales tax that has been passed. You see that the revenue from the lease. But now it looks like they could say that they don't want to give it up. But how many times they say something and it's not the same? Wake up, people. Wake up.
You done, Mr. LaFrance? Or no?
Not yet.
Okay, continue.
You got to be careful who you invite to your table. Be careful who you invite to your table. Because if you invite the wrong people, you'll find out that you become the meal. Be careful. And all this is coming about because there's a deal that was done with the devil. There's a deal that done with the devil, that was made with the devil. Not the devil coming home to collect. The devil is coming to collect. I'm going to say this again. Wake up, people. Wake up. And I yield.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah. Woo, this is rough here. I'm totally against this mood, and one of the things I've been saying a long time is that for 43 years I've been coming to this council, and I never forget. It was always the issue of who gonna control the port, the legislative or the parish president. That fight been going on and on, and I remember when Judge Connor was. I don't know if he had the position that Mr. Garrett had, and the council agreed to create a committee, which Dr. Good was on at that time. I don't know if Benny or Mr. Ptolemy was on the council at the time. I can't remember. And I remember that committee became a commission, and it been some confusion from there on. The whole change from that period on. My issue is that when you put people in charge of non-elected people, then business people can get to them easy. While we're saying we're not selling the port, I really believe we put it in the hands where big business people can make sure that they get the right people on the board. Even today, as we talk about the port, I don't think that even at the present configuration, we're not getting what we should get out the port, and it's because of a decision that a council made many, many years ago. I hope this council don't use the voters, because see, I think we use that voter thing to justify stuff, because as Mr. Brock said, this is too much for anybody to solve. And then I think David said something that was very smart. We put these things off election. So all the people that part of Poppy and all those people, they're going to get enough percentage of people to get this passed. So there's a lot of deliberation and intentionality put in this thing from beginning to end. I just hope this council, we can prevent this port from being taken out the hands of by the decision we make, and don't hide behind let the voters make the decision. Let's not do that. To me, that's not do that. And I'm hoping that we don't do this, because this would be a detrimental move. I'm already of the opinion, and I think I shared it with most of the council, it's almost like our port going to be under the state. Let the state take it on their own without us giving it to them. Because it's all about, it's not making money yet, but because of Venture Global, and which is separate from it, but that sort of represents our port. I just hope that every council member seriously do not make the move that the last council made when he created that committee, that created a commission that still have the Pope. We don't know who they in, the parish president, the administration of the legislature. We still torn in place. I was looking at the civil service thing we had, and even in that civil service piece, it really talked about how the Pope really sort of still on the state. I'm still confused over how much power we have on it. I hope that we exercise our power and vote no to this, because that's what people elected us to do, to make the tough decision. We just got finished talking earlier about the zoning board, make the decision, and we got to respect the zoning board. I just think it's time for us to make the right decision. When this council created that committee and it turned into commission, the port has been unsettled and been messed up and still messed up. Let's not mess it up again. Again, people elected us to make decisions. What I suggested to Charles Tilton when I first met him, the first time I met him was a conference call, I said not one word to him. But he came and met me at my church. And I told them this, because I know all the stuff that Poppy was talking about, and he's several members on this council. I have to give them credit. Some of them, this thing that they're saying now, They talked about it. I've heard several of them saying that they will consider putting this under. So it's not nothing new because I came to Belchester and heard this. But I think that this would be a bad move for us to do that. So let's not give this to folks. So the zoning board and all those things, we see what happened to the zoning board. This group, and I heard, and I don't agree with the analysis, the Schultz was using the zoning board as analogies. I think that was a bad analogy to really use. Okay. And so I just think that we need to stay true, because to do this, we're really just giving away the Pope, and we're still allowing business people. I heard somebody say about financial statement and all those kind of things. But I know that if I'm a rich businessman in Plaquemine Parish, I know how to get next to Joe Blow, ordinary person, to get them to vote my way. And so again, I am pleading, let's not make the dangerous mistake that we're suffering from the council that created that committee. What we're doing now is the same thing that council did when he created that committee. They created a commission. The vote that we make going to destroy the Pope. It will not. I don't see the community benefit from it, because the state going to take it over. I hope we don't put this in the industry of business, because we keep the part that I'm really confused about is this part about having experience. And I heard Mr. Konovic saying, if you're a decade, that's the experience. If you work for Chevron, because I worked for Stovehaven, what did I do with them? Just because I had a job, that doesn't mean I was in an administrative position. That don't mean that because I worked for a company. I could be at the lowest level of that. So again, I pray that every council member search their conscience, and let's not make the mistake. Because even though we're talking about Dr. Gouet, the council voted for that commission, that committee that he would be on. The council voted to create that committee. I hope we don't make that mistake. The decision that we make today, I hope we don't be living the ghosts in the past. I heard Benny talk about things. I think there's room to blame for all the council or what's happening with the Pope. For every member of the past council, the blame to go around. But I just hope that our legacy wouldn't be that we took something and turn it over, something that could be a beneficial to our parish, and turn it over to a committee. Turn it over to a committee because, we want to make this. I just say this in closing. Sometimes you have to make tough decisions. One of Martin Luther King's favorite quotes of mine: the ultimate measure of a man is not where you stand in the moments of comfort and convenience, but where you stand in the moments of controversy. But we're in the moments of controversy right now. The question is, what side you going to stand on? What would your legacy be today? I close on that.
Champagne.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I really discuss my point of view on this, I want to make a point. I know there's a lot of emotion in this, but one thing that was said that I find reprehensible is to bring race into this. I'm about as colorblind as you can get. My former occupation was that of serving this country. I don't care if you're black, white, green, or whatever. I would die for you. And suggest that I look at this in any type of color spectrum is reprehensible. Mr. LaFrance, I respect you, and I will still respect you, but I would not respect myself if I did not say that. So to suggest that in any way, shape, or form, to bring that into the argument, is out of place and it's out of bounds.
Can I rebuttal on that?
No, sir. I have the floor. Okay. Number two, I know there are a lot of motions here, and we speak of making decisions, and we were elected to make those decisions, and I think that's what we're doing. We're taking a look at this thing objectively and weighing all the options. Yeah, this is the people's port. It's their business. It's the future of this community. And to suggest that there is some type of sinister motive or ill-gotten gains to be had by this is also reprehensible. There's nothing more than us looking at this port and trying to figure out, how do we do this? If you want somebody blown up, I'm your guy. I'm an artillery officer. Did that for 33 years. I'll blow the heck out of somebody. You want your teeth fixed? You see Dr. Gouet. You want it to be audited? Go see Chris. You want a business? Go see Patty. I can name it. But you run a port. We're going to run a port that's going to have both domestic and international implications, we probably need to get some experts involved here. Now, the port, to suggest that we will not have oversight of them is silly. It clearly states that we will oversee this board. We're not going to hire deckhands to make decisions. Not that they aren't great, admirable people. They have no more experience than us. We're looking to have people that can understand how ports operate. The rest of the ports on the Gulf Coast are run by these types of boards. The only other port on the Gulf Coast that does not have a board like this is the port of Manatee in Florida. We're better than them. Now, we want to offer the people of this parish choices. You know, I wish Congress would ask me how to spend my tax money, but they don't. They just do it. We're offering the people the opportunity to make a decision. What do they want? And if they say they want us 9 up here to do it, my God, I'll work my butt off and make it happen. I will work my tail off. But I want them to take a look at it and go, you know, maybe we ought to have some experts coming in here, giving us some input and making this port be what it can be. And it will be overseen by us. So if someone starts to do something reprehensible, we have the ability, based on this legislation, to recall them, to pull them out. We're not handing this over to anybody. So that's disingenuous to suggest that. What we're offering here is the people the opportunity to make that choice, because we know they have the wisdom to do it. Now to speak to the suggestion that we want to do it at an off election because we can stack the deck, no, that's not the case. It's just the way that the timeline fell out. We couldn't get it. I'd love to have gotten in place for the presidential election, but it's not. So it's incumbent on us to get people out to vote. And the mere fact that people don't vote, I find that all equally reprehensible, because our founding fathers fought for that right to vote. And it is sad that people don't go to the polls. But again, that would be on us to ask them, please go, please vote. I want to do the bidding of the people. And if they choose one way or the other, I'm happy with it. All I am suggesting here and fighting for is for them to have a choice in this matter. And again, if they say, hey, I want you 9 to run this port, glad to do it. Or if they say, hey, we're interested in following this other course of action, by God, I'll make sure it's done properly. I yield.
All right, so I'm in the queue. I agree with you, Reverend Edwards. Zoning board was not the best example. I was just trying to come up with one at the time. So, yeah, it was not a good analogy. But to add to what we talked about is when I ran for this position, when I knocked on doors, I was asked my opinion about the port. Some people asked, would I support this? Some people did not, but they know the port was a mess at the time. I was asked this question in a forum when I was running, and I will give the same answer that I did then, now, is I feel like I was put in this position to represent my district, but ultimately this is their port. This is their government agency. Let the people decide. Originally, Dr. Gui came to me, showed me this legislation. What was my first response? As it was written, absolutely not. There was many concerns I had with it, one of which was the ferry. Everybody's saying, oh, the ferry's going to go away. There's clearly a clause in here. Ferry transportation facilities and services in Plaquemines Parish shall be provided for and operated by the district. They don't have a choice. The charter will say that the ferry still operates. Okay? Some of the things that we're talking about, election. What was the first thing I said when we realized it was too late for the November election? The first option was December. I said absolutely not. By the time we vote on this, we're talking about 2 months. I said, no, we need more time. Let's do March election. There's already a special election being called because of Debbie Naquin resigning and other stuff. So I said, let the public have more time to digest this information. We talked about decisions that the previous councils made in wasting through this money. This council, I feel like, representing the people, my legislation, I created that surplus fund. A certain percent goes into that to protect this parish in the future from money gained from, and let's be honest, Venture Global. That's where our sales tax money is coming from right now. That is where that money is going, is to a surplus fund money to get us by in a couple years when the ad valorem tax is not in place and we don't have the sales tax. That money will be key. You can ask finance, you can ask probably President Hinckley, you can ask anybody on this board that We had to do something to protect this parish in the future. Talk about sales tax money. That's not going anywhere. Sales tax money will still be collected by Venture Global or whoever the port brings in for different things. By law, 1% will come to this parish. 1% will go to fire department. 2.5 will go to school board. It's not like we're just saying, okay, this port commission will take all this money and do whatever they want with it. By law, that's where the money goes by sales tax. Now, decisions that this port commission makes on who they bring in and all that could impact the sales tax revenue, but the sales tax money has to go to those agencies by law. And then, 4.5 goes to the state automatically. That's how it is now. So, when Dr. Gui brought this up at the last council meeting, basically about the special election, I got a couple phone calls about this. What is going on? I explained to them. Everybody I talked to since then, probably 10, 15 calls, were saying, yeah, I agree. Okay, let the people vote on it. This is the people's choice. Yes, I get it. You don't want to let the people decide, but that's what I ran on. I know it's not the same thing, but look at our last decision that we let the people decide on. This board, and some of y'all voted against it, voted to ask the people for a charter amendment for the Parks, Arts, and Recreation Director. The people passed it. I think Ms. Morrison is doing a heck of a job. Improving our recreation program, improving our arts, doing everything that we wanted. Or not we, but some of us wanted. We could have done that on our own. Said, you know what, we're just going to create a position, but we want the people to have a voice. That's what we're doing here, is letting the people have the voice. This is their decision. This is their government agency. So to say that we're giving the poor away, I don't find it that way. Nothing's going to change except for who sits here over the port. That's all that changes, is who sits here. Same administration if they choose to, same sales tax percentages, all that stays the same. Nothing changes except for who sits here. And I said it when I ran, and I'm going to say it again, and this is why I'm going to support it, is I want the people to decide what they want to do with their government. This is their government, their choice. Could it be a bad choice? If it could be. We can't tell the future, but we see what happened in the past. We see what conflicts they have with port administration, council versus port, administration versus port administration. I mean, it's a disaster. We have to make decisions on certain things in a council meeting and then look at it as a port commissioner at the same time in a separate council meeting. Well, sometimes those things conflict. To me, it's a big conflict, but with that, I yield. Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First thing I want to mention or say is passion issue. I want to thank all my colleagues for having a passion issue like this. What it means is they really do care, and that's important. To care. It's a process, and I'm be honest. I'm all for anything that we let the people of Plaquemines Parish decide. We get folks come up to the mic all the time, and I'll use his name. He's not here, Mr. Henry. What's in it for the people? Well, this is the people's voice. They get to voice their opinion on how they'd like to see it done. It shouldn't be non-people of this parish deciding on everything, deciding on these things. Some things, yes, we were elected to do that. But this is a voice. Look, if the people of Plaquemines Parish want this, they're going to vote yes. If they don't, they'll vote no. And just like some folks have said, we move on. We move on. But I would just, some things, and I do understand it's a passionate thing for folks. And look, I'm up here and I want to do the right thing. And that's, I'm not in it for any other reason. It's been said that a councilman's up here, or council people up here getting their pockets lined. Well, if anybody wants to come check my pockets, they can come check them. I'm not getting lined. You want to look at my bank account? You're more than welcome to. I'm happy to show anybody. So I'm not in it for any political gain or any financial gain. That's not my goal. I'm in to do what's right, and I think this is a step, in my opinion. My Ronnie Newsom District 6 opinion is one of the right things. And I'll close with this. And I said it before when we had a vote early on in my tenure on this council. It was a contentious vote, but what I do say is I hope that all the colleagues and all the council members can, number one, understand everybody's vote, but ultimately respect everybody's vote. And with that, Mr. Chairman, I yield. Thank you.
Conovich. Yes,
Next in line.
Conovich.
Things I forgot. The port has the ferries now because this board right here gave it to them. You think, and we had to accept it because we are the same board, because we wearing two hats. You think that board we appoint is going to accept running a ferry system that they lose money on every year? Then we got them to help build the water booster station. You think that committee's going to do that? They're going to be a committee wanting to make money for the port. And y'all bring up the ITEP. We're not getting money for 10 years. We're getting 20% for 10 years. We don't get nothing. We get 20%. Yes, 20% of the ITEP we get. We don't get the full amount for 10 years.
The ITEP, we were talking about Venture Global?
Yeah.
The ITEP for Venture Global was passed under the old rule when it was still state government, and we do not get anything for 10 years.
We get 20%.
No? Okay.
Yeah.
That's in 2015.
Yeah, it was before the change to 20%. They
No.
get 100%.
Then,
You done, or?
No,
Sorry,
I'm
I
not
just
done.
walked in, sorry. Go ahead.
then y'all say, oh, this new committee will bring in companies and they'll pay their taxes. Well, I could remember tall grass that had some snakes in it. They gave money to the port in lieu of taxes. So the people didn't get nothing for it. And to keep saying that, the people will benefit from this board, it won't. Right now, if we didn't make the port pay some money to the ferries, to the water booster station and other things we get them to do for the port, for the parish, the people would have bought property that they don't get anything from.
Reverend Edwards.
Yeah, I mentioned earlier, and I didn't finish my thought. The first time I met Charles was at my church, and what I suggested to Charles, because there was a lot of conversation about Polk commissioners, council member not having experience. I said, Charles, why don't you select someone from Stokehaven, Venture Global, and all these people, and create an advisory board? And then that advisory board can advise the council to make the decision. I still think that's the better route to go than to just turn everything over. Because what we're actually doing is turning it over. The zoning board, we can always come back and change stuff so they don't just totally operate on. But what this is doing, we don't have any more control whatsoever. That's the danger in that. So I just hope that we can really, vote against this and put in place an advisory board. And think that's all is advisory board to advise us. I yield.
Mr. Dursich.
Yes, during my campaign, when we had the forums, I did say I was for this because I felt like our port could move in a better direction, being run by people who know the ports and know the river and know what needs to be done. I don't want to give up any control. I want to still be able to control. And the way I read this legislation, if someone on there, and we said it multiple times, is not doing a satisfactory job, then we can vote to have them replaced. Even if it's the governor's guy, parish president's guy, one of guys or gals, green, yellow, black, or white. We have that ability in this. I just, look, I appreciate all of the comments, and there's some very valid comments on both sides. I wish we had a little more time to discuss with the people and reach out and go to communities and explain exactly to maybe get a better understanding. I know the last couple of days we've been on the phone talking to people, explaining. Now, another thing that really bothers me is vote. That's what really infuriates me. I don't care what election it is. If it means something to you and you against this or you for it, you get out there in your community to tell people to vote. That's the problem with this parish. That's the problem with it. You know, getting the people out to vote. This may be one of them times when they may have no choice but to get out and vote if they feel passionate about it. I hear, oh, this one's going to force that one. There's nobody telling David Clark he can't bring busloads of people to the polls to vote against this. There's nobody telling people it's your right. I was elected, but I did at the forums express that I would be for an independent port, but one that we control. And being that I ran on that and I got elected by the skin of my teeth, I feel like, you know, it's time to really move this port forward. What have we done? What have we done? It's not really progressing. And I think it's time to put people in place that we control and we all pick from. Give us, you know, have faith that we can do the right thing. I yield.
Ms. McCarty.
As some of you may know that I have been on the fence about this. I have vacillated back and forth based on the information that I've received from reading this. And there's a possibility that our choice could be taken away from us and we just have a simple appointed board. I spoke with some people in Baton Rouge. That doesn't seem to be an imminent decision. But what was asked of me is, are the people that are appointed to this board from different demographic locations within the parish? I don't see that written here. When I spoke with Dr. Gouy, I asked, what is the definition of a qualified person? And that's when I heard that we're not going to define the qualified person other than that they've worked on the port, in the port industry, or that have a background or experience in operations or port-related industries. And that's when, that's where that comment comes from. It could be a dockhand. That person is has been working on a port. So because I vacillate back and forth, I'm asking, can we write down some qualifications? It may not have to be education, although education gives you a pre-qualified set of knowledge before you start. So like, for instance, an attorney has gone through law school. He may not know anything about a port, but an attorney has a preset knowledge about law and business. A finance person has a preset knowledge about accounting. And then on top of that, if we wanted to put people with certain experience, let it be a certain level of business experience in the port industry. Not someone who might have been a pipe fitter or throwing a rope, something to that effect. I'd like to know if we might be able to defer to even think of that. So you can respond when you, yeah.
The language.
Wait, hold on, Doc. All right, you're on.
The language is pretty specific that it needs to be someone in a port-related industry. But you have to remember the council makes that decision. The council makes that decision. So if you don't have confidence that the council making that decision, the council could have a resolution specifying as long as they're in a port-related business. But I'm not in favor of putting that and locking it into a charter amendment. You make the charter amendment as to what you want. Okay. And then as the appointing board, you have your home rule charter. You can pass ordinances, resolutions, and stuff that's necessary. And you can actually define or further define. So, but I'm not putting it in, I'm not going to recommend it be put in the legislation.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that. My next question about this is it says that each commissioner, regardless of, above that. The commissioner appointed from the list nominated by the governor shall take office on July 1st of the year following the regular election of the governor. So does that mean that the person doesn't come in until year 2027 in July?
Everyone will come in at the same time. However, when that term is up, if they're elected by the council or the president, it's concurrent with that term. The governor doesn't have the same term. The governor's term is different than ours. So we made it so that it would be when the person who's making the nomination takes office, that's when that appointment takes place. And there's other specifics about time limits and when they have to do it. But that's the reason for the time differences, is because we don't take office at the same time.
Okay, thank you for clarifying that as well. So there were some people who took objection that I put a survey up. I'll let you know that people stop me everywhere. And I was stopped in Sam's, I was stopped in Home Depot, in Sherman-Williams twice, which is a small store. And at restaurants, they want to talk about a half hour stopping you from eating. They have questions. So I wanted to know from the people in my district what they thought. I'll tell you, only one person from my district responded. There were two people who looked at it that didn't even stay on long enough to respond. That left 8 people who responded, and they weren't in my district, so I can't even apply that. I wanted to know from my district. So because I asked, and other people felt that they were being peppered a little bit by questions, I received language from some that appeared to be a little threatening. So it doesn't matter to me where my future goes, as long as God appoints it. So my vote today has nothing to do with anyone or any other council member that's going to influence me one way or the other. My vote is, and I've been taught my entire life not to step down or cower down, but to work with people and find a compromise. So I just want to set that straight. And not even sexism is, I know race has been brought up, but sexism is sometimes an issue of not moving forward. So my decision today is not based on any pressure. It's based on my willingness and desire to do the best for the parish. And I think that because I know what could happen, I think if we were to change some of the language through a resolution, that it would be good to have a professional board. And that's, I would hope, would change before this came up to vote. I wish we had more time to discuss with the people what they would like us to do. I do.
Yes, so I want to clarify something. I know one of your questions, it says the initial port commission shall take office January 1, 2026. The initial port commission, if this should pass, shall take office January 1, 2026. And the council and parish president shall be into 2027, governor until 2028 because of, like Doc said, the difference. So, one of the questions was, do they not take office into 2027? I think you asked, but I just want to clarify that for the public. Yeah, so that's covered in here. Another thing that I want to add is, when I ran, like I said, this was I got asked multiple times at different events and things, and So it was obviously a hot issue then, and like I said then, I believe let the people vote on it. The person I ran against also believed that. So the view from District 3 was let the people vote on it overall, no matter who won. The other thing is, I had something else I want to talk. Oh, one of the things I said back in 22, and I've been asked this question, do you think I'm qualified to be a port commissioner? And I said then, and I'll say now, yes, because, I know where I was going with this. So I've audited a port, by chance, Port of Manatee. It was actually Manatee Consolidated Government, which Port of Manatee is under, and a component of Port of New Orleans. Does that make me an expert in the port? No, but I know port operations, stuff like that. So where I'm going with this is putting restrictions on education but what I'm saying is putting restrictions in, well, that might qualify me to one person, but not to another because I only audited one port ever. So I like having a little bit of leeway. Again, it comes back to this council to approve. So I'm not opposed to some type of restrictions, but to say X years of experience or X education, I think that's too restrictive. That's all I'm going to say with that. I yield. Mr. LaFrance.
Yes. First, Mr. Champagne, I want to thank you for your service, but I want to give you a little history of this parish. It took Merlis Broussard and Ernest Johnson to sue this parish. It took a federal judge to establish 2 minority districts. That's how we have these 2 minority districts. It took a federal judge to make that decision. We're talking about having people that have experience with the port to put on this new board. Reverend Evans, you've been asking for a deputy, an assistant, a deputy director. That's one person. They haven't moved on it. But they're looking to put 7. But you was asking for 1 to help. And yet, nothing happened. We talk about the port. You have to need experience with the river and everything. Well, here's some of the projects that the port is dealing with. They're going to build a water booster station. They're installing 2 20-inch water lines. They're repairing our ferry ramps. They got grants for the Peters Road bypass, 11-mile rail extension. They're getting grants for a new ferry, to build a new ferry. They're trying to help Reverend Evans to try to get some money to build a new levee over there on the East Bank. Now we even asking the port to cut grass. How much experience you need for that? I yield.
Seeing nobody else is in the queue, Doc, you asked for the privilege to follow up at the end.
Yep.
You have the floor.
Well, first of all, I think we covered the spectrum, and I want to thank everyone for their comments. The issue today is, do we allow the public to vote for a charter amendment that will change the governance of the port? That's the issue on the table. And we've got 5 months to discuss all the ins and outs with the public. And then it's up to the public to decide. That's the way it was intended. And if this passes, that's the way it's going to be. So a yes vote, you allow the public to vote on the form of governance they feel best. And a no vote says we don't have an election. So, Mr. Chairman, with that, I'll just call it a question.
Machines are open. Passes 6-3 from noes from District or Reverend Edwards, Ms. LaFrance, and Mr. Kognovich.
The minority district voted no. I wonder why.
Sir?
Let me just say this, as I stated earlier, that when I won my election, I spent all of my time going to listen to the campaign. And I stated early in my remarks is that some of the people on here made that commitment to people. As a black person, one of the things that people hate me talk about, I tell everybody when I got elected, I took a page out of Donald Trump. And people say, you saying something that Donald Trump did good? Donald Trump delivered to his base. When I got elected, I ran on the campaign to my base. And I understand these council members, they ran on that. While I don't like the vote, I still have to respect that was their choice that they made. You know, that's their choice made, and I have to live with what's happening. And again, I have to do something that Councilman Schultz said. It's the same way happened when we voted for to get the art department. And there was a lot of people, I was in favor of that. And so I reached out to people, and I'm against this. And so I would reach out to as many votes I can to counteract the vote of my councilman. But I still respect everybody for their vote.
I respect that, Mr. Edwards, and I expect nothing else from you, to talk to your people. That's what we're here for, is to relay information to the people. And ultimately, it's their choice. Thank you for those comments. Next item, please.
9A3, an ordinance by the Plaquemines Parish Council as and on behalf of the West Bank Levy District to acquire new temporary work area easements in certain portions of lands in Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, by appropriation to construct the New Orleans to Venice NOV and FW 05A1 La Russie to Myrtle Grove, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, for levee, flood wall, drainage, flood, access, and hurricane protection purposes, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember LaFrance.
Offered by Mr. LaFrance, second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Ms. McCarty stepped away. Passes 8-0 with Ms. McCarty stepping away. Next item, please.
4, an ordinance approving a plan of re-subdivision of former Empire Menhaden Co. Incorporated Albert Sidney Johnson property, Empire, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, into lots 10A and 10B. Albert Sidney Johnson property, Empire, Plaquemines Parish, Louisiana, as shown on the plan and plat of survey by Dufresne Surveying and Engineering, Inc., dated June 11, 2024, the owners having fulfilled all of the requirements of the subdivision and re-subdivision ordinance of the Parish of Plaquemines without cost to the Plaquemines Parish government or the Parish of Plaquemines, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Offered by Mr. Kognovich, second by Mr. Jurcic. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Oh, yes, sir.
Parents Block 156, Enos Campbell. Now this property going to be used for what? I know they're not going to put buildings or homes or nothing on it. Re-subdivision. When they say re-subdivision, I think that's what they're going to do, put houses on it.
No, I mean, they're dividing the lot into two, it looks like. Basically, it's a normal term whenever they divide a lot, it's re-subdivision.
Okay.
That's basically what it is. Ms. Kognovich, do you want to add anything to it? Or that's basically what it is.
Okay, all right.
Bullshit.
Yeah, you
All right.
Yeah, pass 3. All right. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open? We're on 4 now. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
5, an ordinance to accept an offer from Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development to purchase servitude rights from Plaquemines Parish and parcel number 115D1 for the Belchase Bridge and Tunnel Project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember McCartney. McCarty, that's right, I'm sorry.
You offer? Offered by Ms. McCarty. Do I have a second? Second, who was that, Gooey? Yeah. Dr. Gooey. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Mr. Newsom?
Yes. I guess goes to the administration. We okay with this? Or?
Yeah, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Kognovich?
There's nothing against administration being for it and all. I was against it. Other properties that we were selling to DOTD because I'm against the toll bridge. That's why I vote against it.
Okay. This is a drainage servitude here. I hear what you're saying.
Ms. McCarty? McCarty.
McCarty. Okay, that's fine, yeah. Okay.
All right, Mr. Champagne?
The questions I had on this, is the fair market value determined on this? Because it looks like on line 15, it says, 50,187 was, if that was not acceptable, and a resolution of value could not be reached with PPG. Sounds like there's room to negotiate. So if they're telling us to give us 50,000, we say, no, we want 55. I mean, there's another 5,000. Maybe we could fix a sewer lift station or something. Is there more than one appraisal? How'd they come up with the appraised value? I mean, we make the port come up with 3 appraised values to buy a piece of property to make sure we're giving the people a fair market value. I think we're worthy of the same consideration. They might be lowballing us. I mean, I'm not a fan of DOTD by any means, and again, I'm looking out for us. I just think, is this what it's worth? Sure, it's a drainage servitude, but it has value. So maybe we can get 60,000 for it. Just question. And I'm for it, but I just want to know, are we getting what it's truly worth, or are they lowballing us? I yield.
The state is required to get at least 2 appraisals on this. This is the higher figure of the 2 appraisals. Now, the parish could go hire an appraiser and do this. I think we'd probably end up expending more money and more time and more effort than.
Again, this goes back to having good digest that would say we had 2 appraisals, it's the higher one. I wouldn't have had to ask the questions. Thank you.
Somewhere I read in here, but I didn't bring this forward. It was put on my desk, by the way. So somewhere I read in here that if we don't allow them to have this servitude, that they might want to expropriate it. I agree with Mr. Champagne that I think we should try and get more money, but if you say that we can't, that's. And then the other thing is, Mr. Champagne offered something to pay for with these funds, but I'd like to ask that you also consider the park under the bridge is now being reduced. It's only going to have 2 parking spots. It's getting smaller and smaller, and a smaller little circle. So I'm trying to find funds to build it back at least as good as it was before, but even better. Thank you. I yield.
If you 100%, Mr. Kognovich, and I told the administration this the other day, that we have been screwed big time on this whole bridge, and every day goes by, it's another, and I just can't support it. I get it. We might get, they're going to give us the same amount whether they expropriate or not, but that's just my view. I can't support it because of the way they're treating this parish. Mr. Kognovich.
Like I said, I'm against it because of that, but to answer Ms. McCarty, if they expropriate they're still going to give us the same amount of money. And to go to your other one, put the money there for the park, it's the same problem I had with Mr. Edwards when he wanted to keep money from the filming, put it into the funds and then get the money.
Why you want to tie my stuff up with this bridge, man? How dare you do that, bro? Why y'all come up with wild analogies today?
I got the floor.
He has the floor.
Right, bro, but don't do me that, bro.
I'm done.
You want to respond, Ms. Edwards?
No, I won't. I would not dignify that with a response.
Machines are open. Machines are open. Ooh, wow. Passes 5-4 with no votes from Reverend Edwards.
No, I voted.
He voted.
No, okay.
Myself, Mr. Jurisic, and Mr. Kognovich. I was not expecting. Hold on. Keep it up, please. It passes 5-4. Next item, please.
C, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvement plan, repairs fire stations parish-wide project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Schultz.
I offer. Ask for a second. Second by Mr. Newsom.
9B?
C.
9C.
Oh.
Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir. You want me to elaborate on what this is for? So I have a whole list of fire stations throughout the parish. Yes, sir.
John Bartholomew, 15425 Highway 15, Braithwaite. You have Woodlawn High Firehouse.
They have I don't have all the details, but it's from, I have a list that's basically from the engineering on what all needs to be done. That is
Well, the firehouse at Woodlawn need to be a complete renovation, a new
the
firehouse.
whole second floors, I think it's
No.
renovated and all that.
All this has been underwater several times, and we already appropriated the money. In the years I was on the council, 2 different settings. Money was placed in the budget to rebuild the firehouse at $4 million. And the money was appropriated after the disaster. And things came up that they had for the fire department to accommodate issues on this side, that they took the money to utilize that. Then the following year, we put it back in.
Yes, sir.
So now we got some money, so maybe you can put the $4 million back in and build a new firehouse. That's all I'm saying. That was already appropriated.
We appropriated more earlier this year or late last year, some more money. So this $4 million, they already have money appropriated for Woodlawn.
You have appropriation for renovation. That's what you have. And that's not going to get it. You ever saw the building? You been inside?
Yeah.
You saw all the mold and all the infested with rats and how that looks?
The last point.
And the trailer that's sitting there, how bad that looks?
Yes, sir.
That is the worst firehouse in Plaquemine Parish. And that's a shame that we have to let our fire people, I beg your pardon?
There's one on Engineers Road that is almost just as bad.
Well, we don't have but 2. We have 2, Woodlawn and Point Lodge.
Mr. John, I'm volunteer firefighter, so I understand the plight, and that's why I'm moving forward to put more money into repair. So I understand, and I went at the last Point Lodge meeting last month. I stopped and looked at the station. I looked at the trailer. I had a conversation with Jeff, this morning or yesterday, about that whole station. So I completely understand. We're working.
Well, I'm saying, but we don't understand it enough to put back what we said we was going to do from Jump Street, because after we misused the money that was given to the hurricanes after the storm to rebuild and relocate that facility, it never was done. So all that money was misused. Instead of us doing what we were supposed to do according to the money that was given to Plaquemine Parish to renovate the firehouse, because it went under several times. And this medication that we are doing to the firehouse is not what needs to be done.
Yes, sir.
Out of due respect for those people that's fighting and the community itself, the new building is needed. And it needed to accommodate the disaster area that we have incurred, and but maybe in the future as well. But to lay over and just do a cosmetic is an insult. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Clarence Block 156, across the land. Now, I could talk about fire department. I'm not the fire chief anymore, but I still could talk about fire department. Woodlawn building, you had a lot of mold. They spent a lot of money on trying to refurbish that building. But if you go through the whole parish, all the man stations, like I said before, at the council meeting, that when I got to go to Bell Chase, I got to tell somebody to come downstairs to bring me to the meeting room because it's so big. Go to Post South, go down to Lake Hermitage. But Phoenix and Woodlawn, Phoenix was built as a substation, and we lost the building after Katrina. If I stand right here, nothing was higher than what I'm standing. It was flat down to the ground, and they built a substation. But everybody else have a palace. In Woodlawn, but it wasn't destroyed by Katrina, but it was Isaac. And Woodlawn been waiting for a new building for the longest. And I talked to the fire chief over there many times. He's been begging and begging, and he's saying that it's just a problem that they have with him because he's fighting for a firehouse. So somebody said he will never have a house as long as they're there. So it's not right. Woodlawn deserve a fire station. And I thought we had got money from FEMA to build new fire stations. Neither one of us got it. We didn't get a nice one. I don't never complain. We took on the ambulance service and asked them from day one. It's supposed to be Permanent Fire Station. We never had a problem with them living with us. Matter of fact, we give them the best part of the building. And we took the other side where the office is at, and we had to make sleeping quarters out of our office. That's how small it was. But we don't complain, because the only thing we want to do with the firehouse is protect the citizens in that community. So Woodlawn should have itself a firehouse. I yield.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Mr. Kognovich.
Yeah, I agree fixing all of them. I agree with this legislation, but I was going to bring up what Mr. Bartholomew said, because he fought for the last 4 years to try to get a new one, because that one was almost condemned. And they kept putting the money in other stations. And like Mr. Brock said, they have the ambulance people and the firemen living there. When they was first built after Katrina, the living quarters were for the ambulance people, not the fire people, because they wasn't full-time firemen back then. And when they became full-time, that's when the council at the time said, y'all living here. And they bought trailers for the ambulance people. But originally, those rooms were for the ambulance crew. So, but I'd like to see them get a new station over there sometime soon with all this sales tax money coming in for the fire department. Thank you.
Rev.
Yeah, and when I first got elected, I called a meeting with President Hinckley, the superintendent, Irving, around the same issue. And I remember when this issue came up, where I had to freeze some money to make sure that Woodlawn Firehouse had, I think it was $2 million. And it was we had a big argument, debate on that. And so that needed there, and I haven't moved from that position, and I think I've told it to the superintendent. Mr. Brock, there was a trailer by Phoenix School that was put there that could be used. And so I've been at this really, for a long time, and saying there is a need for a new firehouse. Now, what happened when we did meet, and I don't know if you came to that, was over there. I know Mr. Hinckley was there. The fire department was supposed to have been doing something in-house.
Correct.
To repair the Woodlawn Firehouse. And one of the things that Chief Irvin said at that meeting is there was not enough space for volunteer for the firemen to meet at the bottom. And so it was a thing that we would open it up. And then then I got with Jeff, I said, well, look, this is the issue that you should deal with, because we know there was a friction between the superintendent and Irvin and a lot of stuff. I said, so you in building and turn it over to Jeff to look in terms of making sure. And then one of the things was supposed to happen, they were supposed to do a repair to Woodlawn, temporary repair to get some more money, but also because the people in Brickwork Park had a problem with insurance, they were supposed to do that. So I've been advocating for this thing for Woodlawn. I haven't moved from that position yet. And I think I'm on the record for that.
So my understanding from the superintendent on Woodlawn is right now there's out for bid with the architecture for a complete remodel of the station. So all these problems that we're having is supposed to be covered by some of the money we already appropriated plus this, but is going to be a complete remodel according to the scope of work that I've seen.
And that was my understanding.
And it's out for bid right now.
And I know Mr. DeMarco wanted, because I know with Mr. Hinckley, we went actually look at the station and looked at the upstairs, had some issues that wasn't bad that could have been addressed. And so it was about to overhaul the whole thing to make sure there's some space for the 100 city. He said, can we get 100 people, something at the bottom, I don't remember. And so I said, well, this should be the thing with some new 2x4s and some other stuff. And then I turned it over to Jeff. So I don't know if Mr. Hinckley wanted to respond to that, because we had a meeting over at Bethlehem Church.
Kim? Oh, all right. No, Rev, you're right. We took a look at it and made an assessment. And at that time, the firemen were wanting to do and willing to do the work themselves. But then as they got into it, they were like, this is just too much. And then that's when we decided to get the architects and the engineers to take a look at it and do a full-blown remodel or redo of the facility. And that's where we are today. So, yeah.
That's my understanding.
So at the end of the day, it won't be a real brand new station, but it'll be basically a new facility there and completely remodeled.
Completely remodeled is out for bid.
Because again, but part of the reason why that is because there was still a need to making sure there was some firehouse facility in the Brickway Park area. And so a building that was there that had been neglected, how can you do that? And that would help for the insurance rate in that area. So Jeff, you want to say anything about where we at on terms of this?
Just as Chairman Schultz said, the architect has been working with engineering and Superintendent Butcher for quite some time. The design has taken a lot longer than we anticipated, but the bid, it went out for bid maybe 2 weeks ago. But it is out for bid. We're waiting on those bids to come back, and when those bids come back, we'll have some pre-con meetings, and that complete renovation will be underway shortly.
You done?
It is scheduled to be redone, the whole station,
Right. Yes.
and the money is available.
Yep. All right. Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Just really quick, I've been made aware that some people might be here for 9W, which is the food truck ordinance that has been withdrawn. 9H, sorry, look at the W for withdrawal. 9H that has been withdrawn for this meeting due to we had to make some clerical changes that we've ran across. So just FYI. Next item, please.
D, an ordinance to amend the 5-year capital improvements plan, playground equipment, Braithway Park project, and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Edwards.
Offered by Reverend Edwards, second by Mr. Conowitch. Any comments from the audience? Administration. Mr. Jurisich.
Yes, Rev, I got a call from a young lady. She's very happy you're doing this. She called me yesterday. She said finally, but she's very happy with everything. So I just wanted to pass that on.
She's a voice for the people, though.
But I want to say this, though, but I really want to give Mr. Ashley, really credit for this. Really, I really want to commend her, for her leadership on it. I know there's a councilman that's in my name, but I can't tell you the amount of work, really her and Tasha, really been doing, so it's good when you got folks can do stuff and make you look good, but I really want to commend her on this because she came into this blind. And I just really want to commend her for the work that she's doing. And she didn't rely upon my judgment for too many things. And so her and Tasha and a few people did that. So I really want to thank you for the leadership that you provided. And it goes back to what you said, shows that I'm one of the people that supported that ordinance to charter change for this to happen, and you have made this a blessing to all of us. So again, I want to thank you for your leadership for making this happen. You don't have to clap over there for Tasha for Ashley. I know y'all all right.
Yeah, it's an absolute pleasure, and it's my pleasure to serve the community and the residents. So thank you all.
Machines are open. Oh, that's me. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
E, a resolution authorizing and directing the parish president or his designee to do all things necessary and proper to provide assistance to the Plaquemines Community Development Group and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Champagne.
Offered by Councilmember Champagne, second by Dr. Gui. Any comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Machines are open. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
F, a resolution authorizing Plaquemines Parish government to declare parcel number 8400500 the LSU Ag Center surplus property and otherwise to provide with respect thereto. Councilmember Jurisic.
Offered by Mr. Jurisic, second by Mr. Newsom. Any comments from the audience? Administration?
I'll just look through this real quick, but at the end of the day, the sale and the proceeds for this, it's like when we sold the Popich building, all of those proceeds and the monies from that facility are going into the EOC. These monies will go for the government complex in Port Sulphur for the renovations of that building.
Mr. Jurisic?
Yes, I'll reiterate what Mr. President Hinckley said. And Jeff, I think you got a picture the other day. If somebody would have been standing under that balcony, somebody would have died because of pieces are starting to fall off that building. And it's a historic building and it needs attention now. So hopefully, we can get this moved and get to work on it.
Mr. LaFrance?
Here we go again. You got District 8 council member want to introduce legislation for the sale of the lease. Is it sale or lease?
Sale.
Sale or leasing the property that's in my district. Again, I spoke to Keith Hinckley about it, and I told him I had no intention, didn't want to sell that property. We are here, the port, we are taking people property. We are taking people property, but we're going to sell ours. Explain that to the people. They say they want to take this money, appropriation from the property, and fix the Port Sulphur building. Have anybody saw a scope of work? I've never seen. It's in my district. I haven't seen any scope of work.
The building's in my district.
But the property is in my district. So what is what is
properties
what?
in our parish.
So what
Mr.
is
Dursich.
what is the scope of work? Why I didn't get the scope of work, and how much? What is the cost of work? What is the cost?
I could forward all of those quotes to you,
I need
Councilman.
an answer now.
It was about between $1.8 and $2 million for a complete.
$1.8 or $2 million. $2 million.
Yes, sir.
Let's say
Yes,
$2
sir.
million.
Mm-hmm.
$2 million. Did we try to budget it?
No, sir.
Can we do the work? Can we do the work at time? Can we scope the work out? Some for this year, some for next year, some for the year before, the year after. Or do they all have to be done at one time? Did we seek a grant?
No, sir.
We didn't seek a grant. This the only means of financing the renovation of a building. So you didn't do your homework. If that's the only means of doing the work to finance the renovation of a building is to sell the property, you didn't seek a grant, you didn't try to scope the work out in different period and different time, then you didn't do your work. And you're a contractor. You should know better than that.
You don't need to point your finger or yell at me.
Well, I'm talking to you.
Well, you're yelling and you're pointing your finger at me.
So-
It's not necessary.
Okay?
Just talk to me.
I'll talk to you.
Talk to me.
Evidently, that doesn't work.
Well,
Evidently, that doesn't work.
I'm going to tell you what, this government is not in the land business. This is not the only piece of property that we are saying it's surplus properties. We have properties all up and down the highway here in Plaquemines Parish. This is not going to be the last piece that we try to get rid of. We are not in the land business. We do not need to own properties. When the government owns properties, it makes $0 for Plaquemines Parish. It is out of commerce. So if the private person buys this property, now they start paying ad valorem taxes on this property. We get zero when Plaquemines Parish government owns a piece of property or the Port Harbor and Terminal District owns a piece of property. This is commerce. We are making money when we get this out of the hands of the Plaquemines Parish government. Just saying.
Plaquemines Parish government is established to benefit the people. The people of this
And
parish-
this will
I
benefit
have
the people.
now.
All right.
I spoke to the shrimp task force. They are interested in this property. I've spoken to the Manhattan fisheries. They are interested in this property. They are interested in this property and I spoke to the port about it, about building a warehouse where they can utilize this property. But nobody have no foresight. They just got one thing that, we want to sell this property. How would y'all like if I take something and introduce some legislation to put something in your district? How about if I want a junkyard right next to your, because it's coming. We all can introduce things. Once you cross that border, once you cross that line, because there always was a general agreement, a gentleman's agreement, that we didn't do anything in anybody else's district. I yield.
Ms. McCarty.
Mr. Jursich, I spoke with Mr. Tillotson, so I have an idea that he's interested in letting the property go, but I too wanted to look into grants for you a little bit. Would you mind deferring? No? Okay.
You done?
Yeah. I yield.
Mr. Jursich.
Yes, and I'm going to reiterate this. Yes, I may supposedly stepped out of bounds, but I don't think I own all of District 8. It's not my property. It's parish property. So is District 7. So is District 9. So is we don't own the districts. We represent them. And I'm representing my district by trying to fix a building that's in my district. Because, not for me, for future generations to come as well. Because this building, and to get to the part, do it in sections, that's what's happened before. It's been done in sections. You fix one, by the time you fix everything, you got to go back to what you fixed the first time. Get it done right the first time. I've always been the type of person. I want to say half-ass something. When I do it, I want it done right. I want people to be able to walk around that building, not worry about a chunk of cement hit them on the head. And I got a picture of that chunk of cement that would have killed somebody. And we're going to have a Christmas lighting going on there, and somebody would have had their table right under that very spot. And it's time to give that building some attention. It's an historic building in this parish, and I want to preserve that building. And that's why I'm not going to go out for a bond that we're going to have to pay back. Let's sell what we don't need. I yield.
Mr. Newsom.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Again, everybody's got passion on certain things and appreciate that because, again, I'll go back to it really cares. But again, we've declared numerous pieces of property in everyone's district as surplus. Sometimes it comes under the chairman's legislation because it's under the chairman. So we've had other surplus property in other folks' districts that's been under the chairman's legislation because that's just the way we do things, and we've done things that way. The government has done that way a long time. So, and Mr. LaFrance, you correct. You did have this item on the agenda, but you withdrew it. I guess I did not call you and ask you why you withdrew it. I guess I should have, but I've been through the Port Sulphur government complex. I believe the gentleman, Ms. Pam, took me through there. And I know you yourself and Mr. Juris work there every day. And you know it. I'm going to tell you something you don't know. It's in deplorable condition. The roof leaks. Half the offices can't be used. Folks are wearing masks in there because because of the deplorable conditions in there. And I don't know. I'm not a contractor. I don't know. But I'm kind of saying when you fix things, let's go ahead and fix it. And and I don't have the quotes either that Mr. DeMarco had, but he just expressed interest, told me that it'd be well over $1 million. So that 1.8 is well over $1 million. So I don't want to let things keep going and let this building, because if it gets any further, we're not going to need a contract. Well, we might need a contractor, but he's going to have a wrecking ball on it, because that's what's going to happen to it. It's going to be on repair, and we don't want to get that way, as some folks have spoken. It's a historical landmark in our community, and we want to do whatever we can do to keep it going. And by selling this property that we are not using right now, let's I think it makes sense, and I yield. Thank you.
So I'm going to repeat what some said. I mean, this property is not being used. We have no intentions for this property. I get it, it's in your district, but to say that you own all the land in your district because you're the representative, I don't think it's fair. It's parish land. We're representatives of the parish. If those companies that want to do something with it, then let them bid on it. It's going to go out for bid. Highest bid wins. I mean, so there's that. Again, it puts it back in commerce that we're not using it. If you had a reason besides it's in my district that we don't want to sell it, I'll be more willing to listen listen to it. But you say, oh, what happens if we sell land in your district? We did that last year and nobody approached me on the Popich building. That's in my district. It was not under my name. Did anybody come to me and ask? No, because it's parish land. It was the right thing for the parish. We had no use for it as the parish, so we sold it. But if we want to make that argument, nobody came to me and asked my opinion because it's in my district. We're representatives of our district, but also of the parish. If we're not going to use it, puts it in commerce, and we don't need to have land throughout this parish. I want to get rid of as much land that we have no use for as this parish and get it back in commerce and get some money back for it where we can make improvements. I'm scared to look at the budget for next year. We're strapped in our budget. We need every dollar we can get. And if we're not going to use the land, put it in commerce. Put it out there. I yield. Mr. Edwards.
Yeah, I can speak for the code houses in my district. And I know most everything go down to code house. Nobody called poor little me about that code house, and it is done. But I don't have any problem with this because I went down to the voter registrar office and I walked and looked up at the top and I was seeing Mill do it, and I think Mitch happened to be there that day. I said, man, I couldn't be in this building. When I got elected, I didn't go into the Reverend Percy Griffin Center because this council gave Mr. Solomon two offices, the Reverend Percy Griffin and the code house. And when I saw the condition of that building, I thought it was unfit for anybody to be in. I didn't even want to go in that building. And I feel like that building down there, that historical building need to be repaired so we can find some property and sell it to fix that place. I'm 100% for it because I brought that up to Mitch whenever I said, man, I'll say y'all can work. This is unbelievable. And then as I went to walking, I began to see more problem. As a councilman, I wouldn't even want to have office in that building. And I just think it's a historical building, and we don't know what's going to happen in future disasters that are going to take place. And when you got a building like that, it needs to be held. Because, I know I was talking to the judges about things that could happen with code house, and you always need other building. That's a building that we should take care of. And my no pun intended against you, because this was overdone. But I think it's a shame for past administration to allow this building to get in the conditions it's in because it's historical significant. So I'm 100% for this, 100% for selling that property and getting the money to repair that building because it's needed.
Mr. LaFrance. All right, Mr. Kognovich.
I don't know if it happened or not, but maybe they should have went to him first and said, hey, Mr. LaFrance, we need to sell this property to, that would have, I didn't know. I said I didn't know, but now y'all keep saying it's a historical building. Did you get it quotes to restore a historical building? Because I can guarantee you it's going to be a lot more than $1 million. And if it's older than 75 years, That's what considers it a historical building. And you know, we keep putting money into this rainy day fund and into the emergency fund. Well, maybe that's an emergency. We need to fix the building. You know, maybe the rainy day fund is raining in there, so let's use the rainy day fund. Well, surplus rainy day is the same thing. But I'm done.
Mr. Edwards.
Yeah, I just want to add with Councilman Conover, I also think that I think Mr. LaFrance should have been involved, you know, in it, even though he didn't put it in there. I just think he should have been given that respect, even though I've never received any information or anything in the courthouse, and I see that building as similar to the courthouse.
And I agree that Mr. LaFrance should have been involved, but my understanding was it was under his name a couple weeks ago. Well, hold on. It was under his name a couple weeks ago and got withdrawn for, I don't know, I mean, no reason was given. And hold on. I have the floor, guys. And not only that, but if all options were looked at, we don't have any more land, then yeah, I would agree with you. Let's use the surplus fund for it because it's an emergency. I mean, we have to get it fixed, but why dig into that when we have land sitting here that's not being used, has no intention of ever being used by this parish, as far as I know, not from this council, not from the administration. Why not sell it and get some money instead of just, we talked about bonds. I don't want to get a bond because then we're going to be on the hook for interest and all this other stuff. I mean, if we look at all options, then yeah, I agree with you, Mr. Kognovich, but this is an option. Why are we not exploring it? Mr. LaFrance.
It says sell or lease, but anyway. Mr. Clark, get ready.
Wait, what?
That's it.
Well, did you? I thought you were queued in. Are you done? Call. Machines are open. What? Yeah, they did. I asked.
Chose not to.
Nobody. I asked public comment. I mean, if somebody wants to make a motion, to open up public comment, I can entertain it. But I offered it. Machines are open. Passes 6-3 with no votes from Ms. McCarty, Mr. LaFrance, Mr. Kognovich. Next item, please.
G, a resolution to establish the policy of the parish government with regard to the access of contracts by members of the parish council and to direct the parish president and the administrative employees of the parish to provide copies of requested contracts pertaining to professional services and to provide otherwise with respect thereto. Councilmember Kotnovich.
Second.
Offered by Mr. Kognovich, second by Mr. LaFrance. Any comments from the audience? Yes, sir.
I'm looking over this and I don't have a good understanding. It's just saying that if a member of the parish government have a construction company, they could get contracts from the parish. All right, that's all I want to know.
Well,
They should be able to, they should know what contract is being taken place.
all right. Any other comments from the audience? Administration? Table? Mr. Newsom?
So, in reading this legislation, I fully support 100% transparency, but it does say, and I have to ask, I'm hoping if I'm putting anyone on the spot, please tell me and I'll shut up. But it says that Mr. Kognovich had made requests for multiple requests, and you have not received the request to the administration, and you have not received them, and I guess that's my question. Because I've had requests through the same avenues and through administration, finance, and I was able to receive the information. So I'm just seeing Oh, and I know you put it, I guess I'm asking a couple of different questions. Is this just for professional services, or is this for engineering contracts? Is it for all of, I'm sure we have multiple contracts throughout the parish. I couldn't even guess how many there are. I don't even know. So just a question I have, and I'll hang up and you can answer. Thank you.
Your mic's on.
I asked numerous times for the professional service contracts. After about the third time, I was sent some for AT&T phone bills, records, or phones, some contracts that we sign with the companies that do our audits, but no other ones. I don't know who's doing work in the parish. I don't know what we paying them.
You're back on.
I do think myself reading through the charter, that is and I think you quote that somewhere in here, of the self-government charter, section 3.10, it's a requirement now. Is that, am I speaking out of box here? Is that true, Rennie, or Mr. Hinckley?
I mean, public record law is what it is. So yes, all contracts are public records. They're available for inspection, for review. You can request them. The issue we had with Mr. Kognovich, and we discussed this morning in a private meeting, was, it was like, can I have all the contracts now? And I'm like, look, I got a staff. We're busy. We're doing concursos. We got all this stuff. Can you work with me? Can you tell me what you're looking for? Can we go one department at a time? Whatnot. And so I had asked my staff to do that with him, working with him. So they did send him some stuff. Now, I guess that's not what he wanted. He wasn't satisfied with it. I didn't know. So this morning, what Mr. Kognovich indicated to me, he wasn't so much concerned, because he told me this morning, he said, well, I don't want a stack of contracts that'll 5-10 pages. What he's really asking for is he wants to know what expenditures we have on those contracts. And what I've told him this morning, I says, well, the contracts aren't going to help you, because some of these contracts is an hourly rate, daily rate. It don't necessarily specify all the amount we spent. Some of them are not to exceed. We don't meet the not to exceed amount. What I think he's asking for, and I don't want to speak for him, he's really asking for how much money did we spend with these different professional services. That's easy. You can go to the finance department, they could print out a vendor report, and it'll show you we spent, 20,000, well, not with Rennie Pierce, I'd go to jail, but, we spent 20,000 with the plumber, we spent 50,000 with this, we spent 20,000. If that's the information he wants, the finance can easily print that out. The contracts, just like I said, you can stack of contracts. He's not going to go through 1,000 pages of contracts. I know that. So that's what he's wanting to know. But if he wants 1,000 pages of contracts, then I guess each of the departments can go through and give them to him. But
I told you from the start, I didn't need a 50-page contract. We got a contract with XYZ to do plumbing work. We paying them this amount. I can't get it.
Yeah. So look,
can we work together on this? Do we need legislation?
Yeah. I mean, the president told him this morning we're going to work with him to give him. We're going to give him what we got. I mean, I don't.
Do you still want to go forward with this legislation? Yeah, go forward with it. Well, I'm just trying. I know. Look, everybody's busy. Land powers limited. Just trying to. Let's work together. If we can work together, I'm sure there's a way around this.
Look, I don't have a list of, the contracts that the president signs, I have a list of. What I don't keep track of on all these contracts is all the expenditures. So I can't tell you, on my list, how much was spent on all these contracts. All I do is review them for the president's signature. He signs them. I keep a copy. A copy goes to the departments, and then the departments are responsible for the day-to-day billing against those contracts. That information is really going to come from finance. Now, the president, we can ask all the departments to pull together a spreadsheet and put what they want on it, and we'll do the best we can. And, that's
Dr. Gooey.
Just one thing, Mr. Garrett and Mr. Burris, it has some language in here says that the parish council is directing employees to do something. And my understanding of the parish charter is that we are prohibited from directing employees to do anything. So does the language need to be changed in that particular instance so that we can be okay? I mean, I know with semantics, but it says it. It says it. Well, look in the beginning. Resolution established policy with regard to contract to direct the parish president and the administrative employees of the parish. And
Typically, we put or his designee.
say it again.
Typically, we put the president or his designee.
That's fine. That's fine.
I mean, the president has an obligation.
The only, in a resolution, you can have the whereas clauses, you can have, the meat of the resolution is in the be it resolved. And it does two things. It sets forth, it essentially sets forth a policy that if a council member requests it, they'll be provided it. It's not talking about having an individual council member directing an individual parish employee to do anything.
Thank you.
And I think I might have to go into law because what Mr. Garrett said is what I was going to say. To me, this is a clear resolution just acting, directing the parish president to release the information. I just heard the president say they don't have any problem with doing it. So if you don't have any problem doing it, I think they do it. And then if that happened, then I think Mr. Habu should be able to come back to us and say, well, the president is not doing what he said he do. But I just think this is something that should be given to any council member. And I'm glad to hear you say you got it, but he didn't get what you did, Mr. Newsom, so he should be able that same privilege. So I just think this is a no-brainer for me.
Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
10, approval of the minutes from the September 26, 2024 regular meeting minutes.
Offer by Mr. Conrad, second by Mr. Joseph. Any comments from the audience? Administration, table, machines are open.
Council members LaFrance,
Mr. Edwards, Mr. Passes 9-0. Next item, please.
11, new business. 11B, District 3 update. Councilmember Schultz, infrastructure issues, drainage and sewer. Discussion on the 2024 budget hearings.
Mr. DeMarco, do we have results from the scoping of sewer on Dr. Gorman?
They're still doing some assessment as far as putting in some larger pumps and looking at the before and after. And part of that discussion we had was it's a system-wide issue, not just that one, but they are doing some assessments as far as boosting up the pumping capacity of that one as well.
Okay. Discussion on the 2024 budget hearings. Based on the dates that I received from finance and the required posting, it looks like November 18th will be the best week to knock this out. Starting on November 18th, we'll obviously schedule it for 3 days like normal, the port on the second day, and then pick up if we're not done the council. Does everybody, starting at 9 o'clock, does that sound okay with everybody? Where we can vote on this at the next meeting and let the public know? All right, so public, November. What?
9 o'clock.
I gotta give you some time to get up from,
I get up at 3 o'clock.
I'm not going that early. November the 18th, starting at 9 o'clock. So that way everybody knows that was the best date for finance and everything. All right? All right. Yeah, well, we'll schedule it for 3 days. What we normally do is schedule it for 3 days. The 19th, we'll start with the port in the morning.
Okay, so are we going to have a port meeting?
What do you mean, port meeting? No, we'll have to cancel that. The 19th, we'll start with the port, and if we're not done with, we could be done with the parish on the 18th. It just depends on how fast we move through the budget and everything. So we normally schedule it for 3 days in case if it gets drawn out. But once we're done, we can schedule a meeting to vote on it, and then, so.
You can love our budget.
Yeah. I don't know about that. All right. Next item, please.
District 7 update on lift station for Martin Lane, update on grass cutting and/or contracts. Diamond Park needs to be sprayed for mosquitoes, road graded, manhole cover and port sulfur on Highway 23 across from Lee Drive, levee breach and erosion across from Ironton during Hurricane Francine, mosquito control, garbage collection, District 7.
Can you give me a update on the lift station at Martin Lane? Where we are with that?
They are, Infomark has a company that's doing preliminary designs to rebuild the lift station. They're going to do some temporary just to boost up, shore up that area that caved in, but it is under design.
Okay. So engineering has it?
Infomark is taking care of it.
Okay. So
Yeah.
they're going to do the engineering and everything.
They're going to handle that portion of it, yes, sir.
Okay. That manhole cover.
It isn't. They have a contractor. They're going to raise that whole area, that whole structure. Hopefully, it doesn't get run over again. But they do have a contractor looking at it to raise the whole structure.
Okay. We don't have anyone to handle that. To tell us about that levee breach, huh?
Kimberly?
The erosion.
Kim?
Maybe Kimberly.
That erosion of the levee across from Ironton. There was
Audubon Road.
Well, it is going to be completely finished. That whole project from the storm will be completely done on, they said about next Tuesday.
I'm not talking about the breach now. I'm talking about the part of the erosion that was being eaten up.
2 weeks after that is done, they'll start on that.
Yeah.
From the pump station to the.
Right.
Yeah, that will be in 2 weeks. That will get started on.
All right. Okay. And mosquito control. We back on a schedule again.
Back on a schedule, yes, sir.
Okay. And garbage collection. Mr. Clay.
So after listening to some of the topics and discussions about the previous.
Please give your name.
Oh, okay. So my name is Clay Boudreau, and I live back at Lake Hermitage. Been living back there for 33 years, 200 West Cass Lane. And I want to start off by an icebreaker by saying, listening to some of the discussions and the topics, my topic that I'm bringing here may sound insignificant. But I can attest to you that for the 22 people that live across the bridge back at Lake Hermitage, it's not insignificant. So the nature of what I'm going to talk about here is unfortunately the last couple of hurricanes busted up our road, and rightfully so. The parish decided that they was going to stop crossing the bridge with the trash truck Labor Day weekend last year. And that forced us to mitigate and try to figure out some kind of ways we're going to get our trash cans across the bayou. So me personally, I've been putting my cans on a deck barge and bringing them across the bayou. And figuring out what neighbor across the bayou is going to allow me if they having barbecues, things like that. I gotta go here one day and here next week, and it's a problem. Some of the other problems that we are having back there is that garbage is being put near the alligator pen back there. When people comes down for the weekend, they'll put their trash garbage bags over by the alligator pit. But when the gravel truck comes back there to pick up the wharfs and pilings and trash that belongs there, he's tearing the garbage bags up, and it's a pigsty over there. It's terrible. Some of the other problems is down by the bridge. There's a guy and elderly gentleman and his wife that's in his late 80s, and I just found out the other day that he's paying somebody to roll his cans across the bayou. I can go on and on. I've got a bunch of more examples here. But I'm going to ask everybody in here, when it's time for you to put out your garbage, you probably go in the backyard and get your can and roll it out to the mailbox by the sidewalk, and that's a wrap. You go on about your business with something else.
I got a couple of neighbors that asked me to take care of their cans too, and I do it with a good heart. But it takes me about 45 minutes to an hour twice a week to get my cans loaded up on a boat, bring them across the bayou, and then go back and get the empties. When I go back to get the empties, I roll 2 cans back to my boat, put them on the deck of my boat to go back and get 2 more cans, and I come back and one of the cans is gone. That happened to me 5 times this year. So with the cans being priced at $95 a can, I know $500 is not going to break the bank, but that's what I got in garbage cans this year from the wind, from inclement weather, blowing the cans off the deck of my barge. And you might say, well, why don't you tie them down? You know, I mean, I thought about that. In fact, if this continues on, I'm going to have to do something else. So that's some of the problems that we've had. Now I want to go into, why the parish stopped picking up our trash, and rightfully so. They had every right to do so. The road was terrible. In January of this year, I collected $18,000 from 7 of the 22 landowners across the bayou. Not everybody participated. Construction on the repairs was completed in February, 1 month later. I then called the president's office and the director of operations to inform them that our effort was completed. 3 months later, I got a response from Mr. Billy, and he said that he was going to come over and no, I'm sorry. Mr. Keith and Mr. Billy came by the house this summer in May, 3 months after we completed construction. I was surprised to see them, and I was certainly happy that they came back there. And both of them commented and said that the road was acceptable. It looked good. Had a few holes in it, just from being fresh, all the material we put on it. But they left me with the thought that they was going to come back. He said they had to check on a few things. He left me with the intention or the impression that things were going to go our way. I called everybody up and told them that they had visited me, and everybody was excited and happy. So let me see where we at here. So that was in May. February, the road was completed. May, they came back down there. I run a small business back there. I'm a fishing guide, and I have some log cabins. So I get busy during the summertime. 4 months later, I started calling in September, both of their offices, and with no response until 2 weeks ago. Mr. Billy called me up on a Friday afternoon and said that he was going to come by Tuesday and visit with me and talk about this topic. I was good with that. Tuesday, I took care of my schedule and I stayed home. I never got a call. He didn't show up. That was Tuesday 2 weeks ago. So that prompted me to call Mr. LaFrance and ask him if I can come over here and speak. Now, I don't come to these council meetings, and I really don't understand a whole lot about the government here. I know y'all can't tell the president what to do. I'm basically coming here to table my concerns about what we having to put up with back there. So the original reason that they stopped picking up trash was because of the road, and that had a lot of merit. But the road was fixed. During the course of this year, they came up with a second reason. The second reason was, I'm not going to say they came up with it, they were probably told that the trash truck the oil pan was dragging the bridge when it came over the bridge. Mr. Billy, he conveyed that to me, so, I took it for what it was worth, and then after giving it some thought, I got to thinking that's debunked. Because if the trash truck can go over the protection levee up at the front of the road by the highway, which is higher than the Hermitage Bridge, on a shorter footprint, physics equates that is going to be a steeper hill to climb. So if he's not dragging up at the front, he certainly isn't dragging at the Hermitage Bridge.
Mr. Clay, we only have 5 minute time, so.
I'm almost done. Yeah. I'm almost done. Thank you, sir. 2 weeks ago, when Mr. Billy texted me that he was going to come by Tuesday, at the latter part of his text, he said that he had one more concern to get over, and that was the fact that Cass Lane is a private lane. Well, the trash truck comes back there and picks up everybody's trash on all the lanes across the bayou, and they're all private lanes. So that's debunked. Either they're going to stop picking up trash back there altogether, or everybody's got to roll their cans to the firehouse on the main Hermitage Road. Because it is not fair for me to sit here for this past year and watch the trash truck pick up everybody else's trash. The road has been repaired, the bridge is debunked, and the private lanes are debunked. So I guess what I'm looking here for today is that if this administration is going to decide not to pick up our trash, I can live with that. I can't make them do it. But they should give me a reason why. Because these three reasons are no good. Or one's been satisfied and the other two are not true. Last thing. I'm 67 years old. I've been living in this parish my whole life. I've been back in Hermitage for 33 years. And I think it's a disgrace that I have to come up here and stress myself out like I'm doing, to come out here and speak in front of this gentleman that half of what he's done has been good, and the other half is rotten. So I think it's a shame that I have to come up here and do this about our basic needs of getting our garbage picked up. Now, I'm not here to attack this gentleman, and I'm not here to embarrass anybody. I'm just telling you my feelings. I'm a member of this parish. I've been here my whole life. And I think it's a shame that I got to come up here and stand in front of you folks and ask y'all to pick up my garbage.
Yes, sir.
That's all I got to say.
Thank you. Mr. LaFrance, you're still
I'm finished, but I need to know what we need to do to have done to have this gentleman and the other people that are living on Cass Lane to get their garbage picked up. They spent $18,000 on limestones to get their road done, and their road has been fixed. So we need to know how can we get their garbage picked up. That's where we at.
Why don't you give us a call Monday morning? We'll get together with you and Billy.
Okay.
We'll get this rectified.
And also,
We can talk and then we can go see.
okay,
We grow.
great.
I'll get Dave to call you Monday. We'll see where our calendars can come together, and we'll get it rectified and taken care of.
Good. Thank you.
So we're going to talk first. And Ronnie, you spend a lot of time back there.
Mr. Hinckley, can you speak into it?
You spend a little time back there. We need to take a look at the condition of the road. I understand, and I know what he's saying is that the road was repaired and fixed, but the last time I was back there, it was already starting to get a little rough and everything like that. But look, we can talk about it Monday, okay?
Mr. Kognovich, or Mr. LaFrance, you're done?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Kognovich.
I was contacted about it, so I got my little book out. There's two.
It's got nothing to do with the private lane. I've just talked to Rennie about that. That doesn't come into play.
I was just going to say,
Yeah.
it does say private, but there is a active donation on the U.S. government, Louisiana and Plaquemines Parish, where they donated the right-of-way, and it says we'll keep it up, so.
Mr. Newsom.
Thank you. Yes, well, Clay, look, and I know you don't ever mean that's your problem. It might seem it's not insignificant. That's what we hear. So don't ever think it's insignificant that you can't come to your local government and voice your opinion. Don't think that, because we're here to listen to the residents. Again, as Mr. Hinckley said, I spend a little bit of time back there. Clay knows where I'm at. I pass his house and I see Clay out there a lot, and he's working. He's not sitting around drinking a beer, which I'll have to stop by one day and make you, I guess. But you do spend a lot of time, and the road was in, I would just say it was in very bad condition, and you got it in the condition it is. So thank you for that, because it really is a huge improvement. Thank you for that. again, Mr. Hinckley, he came back there Labor Day, and we came all the way through your Basham place, and he did see the road, so he has been back there, and we know it. Back on the trash issue over there by the alligator pens, it's terrible, but a lot of that trash is coming from the residents, and I know they don't put it in the back of a Yugo to get it over there. They haul it in a truck. If they just run the trash up to Bell Chase up there and dump all the, as a resident, you can dump your trash up there. So, and I know if you got, some of the stuff, but if it's in the truck, if they could help, if some of the residents could help us out with that, some of the trash, so, throw an old refrigerator. You got to put it in the back of your truck to get it over there. Just come on up the road and take a ride and bring it to the dump instead of throwing the refrigerator right there. Because look, the buggy, the bucket is a tool, and it's an aggressive tool. You don't cut your golf course with that type of bucket. It's going to dig and make holes, and so that's going to constantly be a problem. So if you could spread the word with the residents back there and help us, if they could, there's some things that they can, but if they could, some of the stuff, then get it brought up to Bell Chase and all. And I do agree with you. And look, it sounds like Mr. Hinckley, Ms. LaFrance, y'all going to work some stuff out together, and thank you for that.
Motion by Mr. Newsom. Do I have a second? Motion to adjourn by Mr. Second by Mr. Jurisic.
Kim, you didn't want to make.
Wait up.
Machines are open. Then vote no. Rev is going to vote no. Passes 8-1 with Reverend Edwards vote no.